right, folks, and here we are for Election Central for the 2021 Anchorage Municipal Election. We're here at the brand new, finally finished Alaska Landmine / Jensen Hall Global Headquarters studio. And here we are. I'm joined by Andrew Jensen, Managing Editor for the Alaska Journal of Commerce, and Sabrena Combs, Deputy Mayor of Palmer, and someone who's on the internet a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
And we're here to...
Ad-libbing already.
It's going to be a lot of that. So we're here to break down. Today is the last day of the Anchorage election, which is the fourth year vote by mail. So it concludes today, although there was in-person voting today, and the reports are there was a lot of people showing up in person.
Yes.
So we're going to be talking about the results when they come in. They're expected to come in about 8:30 to 9, depending when the election people release them. And it's going to be a one-time release. And then they're going to, basically, we can look at the results, and about 70% of the ballots will be reflected in that. And then the ballots that came in yesterday and today and later will get updated later. So we'll have a pretty good idea, but it's not going to be like the state where they do updates.
Which is far more exciting.
It is actually not as exciting.
Refresh.
Yes.
Refresh. There's new results.
Before we get started and really get things going, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. One is GCI here. And if you guys see these cups, we love GCI. And actually the internet here, if you guys do a speed test, can we? Oh, there. Oh, look at that. That's GCI. I mean, isn't competition great? Now, if you guys want to do a quick Zoom speed test, you're going to see gigabit speed. Okay, so we got GCI providing us great internet.
That's a lot of bits
to the building. It's very fast.
Was that here before you chose it, or is that why you chose it?
GCI is one of our great sponsors. Also, the building is hooked up with GCI, so we're very happy about that. So gigabit speed. Dittman Research, polling, businesses, political, whatever you want to, do get data, talk to Dittman Research. It's a great polling company. And then Blueprint Alaska, PR, consulting, communications, somebody who works there.
I do. Shout out to Cassie Campbell.
So we want to give a shout out to our sponsors, and we'll be doing that throughout the event. So
who made our screen look so professional?
That's Scott Jensen. And we got to give a big shout out to our team. We got Scott Jensen, his wife Carolyn Hall. We got his buddy, is it Ryan Simmons? Syverson.
Wow. You were way off. Samsonite?
I was way. So we got a great team. We're going to have a lot of guests on via Zoom, some of the candidates. Some people are going to be here in person. We got Jason Gren stopping by later to talk about if there was ranked choice voting in this race. Ryan McKee from Americans for Prosperity. And then we actually have a special guest who we're going to use to kind of kick us off.
Oh.
And I know Sabrena is very excited. This is somebody from your neck of the woods, actually.
Just thrilled would be the word.
Are you familiar with Hunky Lee?
This is going to be
this is Andrew's first time joining us.
It is my first time.
So this is your first time with Hunky?
My first time with a honky. Yeah.
Well, he's Korean, and he's a former state Senate candidate, and he's a lawyer, and he's just an amazing guy. And he's one of his. I'm talking him up. He's teed up. He's in the waiting room.
On.
But he loves karaoke, and he came on for the general.
We already had someone guess.
There it is. We already have people guessing about Hunky. So for the general election central, we did at Doug Smith's house up on the hillside. Hunky came on and did a rendition of New York, New York.
And I just loved it.
But he did Alaska instead of New York.
No, he didn't.
He said Alaska. You see, instead of New York.
He did?
Absolutely.
I don't recall that.
So whenever the team tells me he's ready, we're gonna bring on Hunky from the Valley.
And he's on.
And here is Hunky Lee.
Hunky Lee. Hey, Hunky Lee. How are you? Can you hear us?
Yes, sir, ma'am. Thank you for having me. And my name is Hunky Lee, and I'm going to run for United States Senate next year as an independent, no party affiliate.
Are you announcing this right now?
This is breaking news.
Hold on. You're running for the U.S.
news.
Senate for the Lisa Murkowski race next year.
Yeah, today I registered for that.
Oh my goodness!
Okay,
breaking news!
You should have told me that
right now.
Before, this is actually a coincidence. He did not tell us this. We were doing karaoke, which we're still going to do, I hope.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, this song will be for all the Alaskans out there, no matter what party they are. So.
We love that. I say.
Take it away.
It's on you.
Okay. No New Year's Day to celebrate. No chocolate covered candy hearts to give away. No first of spring, no song to sing. In fact, you're just another ordinary day. No April rain, no flowers blue. The wedding Saturday within the month of June. But what it is something true. Made up of the three words that I must say to you. I just got to say I love you. I just called to say how much I care. I just got to say I love you. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
That was amazing.
Hunky!
Thank you.
You murdered that.
So many octaves. That's great.
So someone commented they just tuned in, and they weren't.
People just tuning in are a little confused, but that was our welcome song. So we appreciate you starting us off tonight.
It was a totally great start for us. So Hunky, again, you said you have filed or you're going to file to run for the U.S. Senate.
I already filed.
Wow.
Independent.
Yeah, as an independent. Yeah.
Okay, so
no party affiliation. Yeah.
it's going to be the ranked choice, and we're going to have Jason Gren on here actually later in studio to talk about the ranked choice voting. So.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Hunky.
Andrew, just real quick, your first impressions.
I can't wait to see more.
There's going to be more. There will be more. And Hunky,
Karaoke candidate.
we're going to be in touch. Thank you, Hunky Lee, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank
Always
you,
a
God bless
pleasure.
you.
Oh.
Now, that was actually
That
just
was-
really, I mean, no music. I mean, a cappella.
So many.
There
did
was
you
a lot of history just
Hear
made
where
there.
he just kind of like dipped low.
The range is
range.
the range is amazing.
The range.
The ra-
Now, Hunky, if you're still listening, at least I hope. Now, don't jump on the comments and take them over. You've done that before, and
No, last
you're
time
going out on a high
last
note
time
here.
him and Dr. Daniel Volan got into a little bit
Yeah,
of
they did.
a comment
They
battle.
were supposed to go to dinner. I'm not sure if that happened.
So let's just talk about it now. Again, the polls close at 8, which most folks have voted, by mail or the drop box, but there has been some folks today. It sounds like maybe a lot who voted in person. But we're not going to have any idea at all until about, they said 8:30 to 9.
And then when is the last day that they will receive ballots? It had to be postmarked by today, but when are they going to say, okay, and count them?
Postmarked by 8, I think.
I believe they're going to accept up until like April 16th to account for overseas military ballots, that kind of thing. They
Right.
still have to be postmarked by today.
There was Representative Tar had a picture today on her Facebook saying, I know I'm not the only one and I'm ashamed, but I'm just mailing my ballot today, but that's okay. Make sure you have it postmarked by today.
So a lot of folks, they get the ballots and they mail them. There's a kind of a little initial like return, and then a little bit down, and then there's like another kind of spike, and then at the end there's the
like,
big spike.
You just leave it on your bedside table and I'll get to it, and then you don't.
And I think it's worth noting so far the trend has been, and they have the numbers they provide if you request it, of the ballots returned by day. So like 10 days before the election, 9 days before the election, 8 days. The whole trend from the whole time has been a 20% less ballots received compared to the 2018 election, which was also a mayoral election.
Right. Which, and I turned mine in on Saturday. I went and dropped it off at the box.
I'm also a
Everything
Dropbox
was
guy.
set. Yeah. Didn't really have the time to go vote in person today, or I might have done that. I always do it during the general election. My polling place is literally just like a 5-minute walk from my apartment. So just duck over there under the Seward Street overpass and go in there.
What are you, like a church? Or is
It's
it
a church, yeah. Shiloh Baptist.
I have Taco Elementary.
It's the one, yeah.
I thought you
yeah.
said
But it's fun.
taco.
You're the old school church gymnasium is, so it feels very old school to vote there. So I always like that.
Yeah, so we're going to have, like I said, when the results do come in, we'll have a pretty good idea of, I think it's about 70, they say about 70%, because what happens is the ballots arrive, they put them through the sorter. This is the system they set up 5 years ago, vote by mail. They flag any ballots where the signature doesn't match or where there's an issue, put those aside. Once they're all counted, they put them into the system. Nothing is tabulated until tonight when they they press the button.
So the ones that we will see tonight is everything that was received up until 5 p.m. yesterday. Is that
No,
what
I think Sunday. I don't think yesterday are
Sunday.
included.
Right.
Okay.
And yesterday was over 11,000 ballots received.
Right, and so that was one thing where I would hope, and I guess I don't know if we ever figured this out, if we'll get a number or an idea of how many people voted in person today. Now I realize like picking up from the drop boxes at 8 o'clock probably would not have a number on that, but I would think you should have some idea of how many people in person voted today. That would be a number I'd be curious about, because it seems like the turnout on day of, I don't remember, and I could just not be remembering, but 3 years ago, I don't really remember a big issue of a surge of in-person voting. I think that might be a little bit different this year. So we'll see what those numbers look like.
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll get those today.
The ones I know they should be able to tell us tonight, which they've done every day, is how many arrived in the mail or through the drop boxes where they picked up all day
How
long.
often have the results changed after all of them were counted? Because like we do this in Palmer where we have the preliminary results and then Friday we count them up, but very rarely does it change the result.
So I actually asked somebody that, and then I went back and kind of checked, and I don't recall. I mean, if there may have been one, I don't recall something so close where it changed 2 or 3 days after
But
No, I mean,
other years had
on the city level.
15 mayors on the ballot.
Right, and the thing with with Felix, I think that was maybe the only one that I can sort of think of where people were really kind of watching it as the updated results came in because it was so close. I think the other races for assembly and whatnot were there was enough distance in them that you'd need that 3-to-1 type ballot shift to overcome a lead, whereas the Felix Rivera Christine Hill I think was tight enough to where that was the one where you were watching the updated results to see if something would change, but ultimately it didn't change from where it was on election night.
Yeah, a year ago, I mean, Christine Hill lost to Rivera by it was 100 and some votes. So, and it was a I think 10,000 vote total were cast. So not a very small margin.
I don't know if it was out of the 5,000 people who signed the petition, I think it was more votes than Felix got in that race last year. So I think that's why they were hopeful anyway that they'd be successful in this.
So the big ticket obviously is a mayoral race with 15 candidates on the ballot, 6 running actual races, 9 didn't raise any money. But then we have.
What do you think about that?
I mean, so you have just basically kind of strange gadfly people who are like, I'm going to run for mayor.
But that's a lot,
Right.
and that really does skew an election. I mean, it really genuinely does.
Well, we had. If you go back to like 15, there was a bunch of other people. There was Hal Crow, Demboski, Berkowitz, and Coffey, and I think there was like 6 other people.
It just seems like a weird I don't know. I just don't know why you would do it and disrupt.
I don't think those
process.
people think about that.
Yeah, probably not.
Dustin Darden is not running this time.
He withdrew, but wasn't it not in time and his name is still on the ballot?
Well, it just shows him as a withdrawal. No, he withdrew.
Yeah. Well, he was trying to get onto the ballot for AQD's open seat.
Oh.
I think that's what he went to court
Well, they tried
for,
to
was
sue to make it
demand-
an open
yes,
seat, 'cause-
Well, yes, he wanted to say that this seat should be declared open, and I'm filing to run for that seat.
If you go to the city page, if we can pull up the municipal election page, Scott, on the screen here, we can show the main page that shows candidates. But we have 15 candidates for mayor, and then we have the interesting recall Rivera race, where if you live in Midtown, you're voting to recall or not Felix Rivera. There's 4 school board races of the 7 seats up, and some of those are interesting because those are statewide. We're going to talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah, citywide, yeah.
Citywide, and it's. Can you go to the candidates page there?
Candidate
Information on the left, third one down, third bullet. So as you can see, mayoral candidates, we got 15. Darden's on there, reflected as a withdrawal, and we have the recall is not showing on this because that's only for the Midtown district.
Is that the only thing on any ballot that was different for people in Anchorage?
If you're living in Midtown, you'll see that district. I forget what
District
the 4.
I'm in that one, yeah.
And I'm in that one too. And then if your school board is citywide, which I think we should talk about that because
about it.
I don't.
I actually had to get clarification because I was supporting a certain candidate with a donation, and I did not know this, that all of these school board seats are not designated by area. It just seems insane.
I mean,
in
some
a
of these
city as big as Anchorage.
Some of these school board candidates raise like $10,000, and they have to run a campaign,
Right.
essentially to get votes from all over the city.
I mean, I guess I could see both justifications either way, where you may want to elect somebody from the neighborhood to represent the schools in that neighborhood, but you also may not want to pit schools here versus that school over there and then have sort of factions on the school board between
Yeah.
this neighborhood school and that neighborhood school. I think that might be one reason why you want to have a citywide election for school board, so you're not sort of having regionalism on the school board.
You're right.
I think that may be, just off the top of my head,
The Valley,
Like who would get elected, the hillside versus downtown.
right, exactly, and where you're going to make decisions on resources here or there and that sort of thing. I think if it's a citywide election, you might have you report to everybody,
right?
Not just the people who.
But
parents,
so are
your friends go to the same school.
It just seems so hard to. And the other thing about these races, and this has happened in the past for the school board, somebody will say, "What seat am I going to run for?" And they look at kind of who's in what seats, and they'll switch last minute because.
Well, that's what it looks like happened on seat G. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and 3 of them withdrew. So
there's only two.
So there's only 2 people
G,
for seat G, but for seat B we have 4. For seat E we have 6. Seat F we have 4. So you just get to choose which seat you want to run
each
for.
seat, you can pick what seat. Yeah.
How interesting. So the Valley kind of used to be like this, and then just a few years ago they switched to districts, which I'm not super supportive of. For the same reason that you just talked about, Andrea. Like, I'd rather have 6 great school board members that all live in Wasilla than one mediocre person that lives in Sutton just because they live in Sutton and they're the only one that ran.
I mean, I think there is something to be said for sort of neighborhood representation, though.
Right. I totally get that.
I think that would be you're from this neighborhood, but you're elected by the city,
right? Kind
of thing. Like, so you have to have some sort of residency in the neighborhood that you're gonna represent. I think that would be fine.
It'd be interesting to go, and we can look this up. But I mean, where do all 7 school board members live? I mean, Andy Holman lives in District 25, I think, over by Midtown, kind of by the east of the highway. I don't know where the other ones live, but. That's interesting, kind of where I bet you it's clustered, Midtown, South.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even
I'd
notice any of that
interested.
in any of the coverage of it. I mean, I read through the questionnaires on some of them before I voted, but no, I didn't really see anything about like residency or where they stay.
Yeah, we could look it up.
It's an interesting question. I think it's funny that all 3 of us are sitting here talking about it. None of us have kids in the Anchorage school district.
Yeah,
no, we don't.
We're weighing in on school board politics and have no real stake in it. Other than take care of these kids so they don't grow up and rob me
she has
someday.
Kids,
right?
but not in Anchorage.
That's what I meant. Not in the Anchorage school.
So here's the question: is like this is the fundamental question that people say. We all pay property taxes, and a lot of that goes to schools. Now, a lot of what I would agree with this. We want to have good schools. But should people like me be weighing into the school board?
Yes, you should.
I don't have any kids.
Yeah, but you work in our community. You want people working in our community that are educated. You don't. I mean, you should care.
I mean, I think anybody who cares about equality of opportunity, that every person, regardless of status, should get a quality education.
100%,
because that
yes, 100%.
benefits everybody. It benefits you, me. It reduces crime, which affects everybody. It increases wealth. It increases economic activity to have educated folks. And so I think that's why, no matter whether you have kids or not, you have a stake in how the school system performs.
Yeah.
Scott, if you're listening, could you turn the internal mic off? No big deal. Getting a little bit. There we go. There it is.
I was like, maybe we could just text him.
I was gonna text him, but then I was like, let's just make this real. Let's just go live. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
Okay, so I have other questions about your ballot. I'm the non-Anchorage person on this panel, so.
But you were featured in a campaign ad for.
We're gonna talk about it later.
Mayoral candidate.
We're gonna talk about it later.
You are kind of.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, we got a
ballots coming
sample
on the
ballot
screen.
queuing up on the main screen.
I tried to figure it out, but it's an ArcGIS map situation, and I was like, wait, what's happening? Regardless, I would like to talk about what the heck are Service Area Board of Supervisor candidates, these LRSAs.
Yeah, LRSA, Limited Road Service Area.
What the heck is this? Why are there so many? What is this? This is not a community council.
So I don't live in a I don't live in a LRSA, but my understanding is it's like 20. It's a situation where there's like 20 or 30 people on a street that isn't maintained by the city, so they have to like elect some folks to set up plowing and
True, and they can assess themselves fees.
Yes.
To pay for services.
It's like an HOA. It's like an HOA light.
So why don't they just have why aren't they like community councils where they just do that themselves? Like why is it on an actual ballot?
Community councils don't actually do anything. They don't.
I know, but they could.
So a community council is like you show up with like 5 of your friends who never go to the meeting and like you elect your buddy chair. This is actually it's like a board like I'm on my condo board.
Right.
We show up, we have meetings, we do there's money that things happen. We have a budget.
Do they get money from the muni at all?
Well, they get. I mean, there's property taxes. Obviously, they're spent throughout the municipality, but there's certain special assessment areas where I believe that these smaller areas can vote themselves higher property taxes or higher fees in order to
Okay.
pay for
Like a-
services.
Like Upper O'Malley.
you know, fire service, that sort of thing.
Like, can someone from Homestead Lursa Seat C give us a call, or we'll send you the Zoom link. If you're on a Lursa, if you are actually on a Lursa,
I'm just so curious.
We'd
We
love
don't
to
have
talk
these
to
in the
you.
valley, and I'm just so the limited. So that means they don't get muni services up there.
or they're
probably.
somewhat underserved. Yeah, I mean, especially some of those places on Hillside, they do have
Yeah.
to, organize their own sort
Some of them are
plowing
like
and things like that.
SRW homeowners Lursa.
I've actually heard some of these races get pretty loose. It's like,
I would imagine they
it's
do.
like
It's
30
always small
people.
town politics that
You know,
get the dirtiest.
You can literally knock on every door and talk shit to them. And
like Sequoia Estates Lursa. Like that's very specific.
South Golden View. A lot of these hillsides, so they're
Yeah, I
probably
mean, you're looking at Bear Valley. You're looking at
Yeah,
Glen
so
Elks,
there are
you're
folks
looking
that
Upper
live
O'Malley,
off the beaten
yeah.
path in
Sure.
Anchorage.
Yeah,
Okay.
those dirt roads up
How
on the hillside. and
interesting. The
everything.
Girdwood Valley Service area probably gets crazy.
Chugiak Fire Service area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some of these people look at. I mean, some of these are competitive.
they are.
Some
A
of
lot
these
of them are right in. It's really interesting.
Some of these are just one person.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
Ronnie
just-
Sullivan. Chugiak
Congratulations.
Good job,
You
Ronnie.
win. William Ennis, you're a winner. You're a winner tonight. Oh, there's a ballot.
There's a sample ballot. So let's take a
Let's look at it.
So let's take a look at this. This is school board CD, for example. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 choices. But then if you go down to G, it's 2 choices. Also, there's 11 bond propositions.
11 bonds.
Oh my God. The stalker. Her dad is on a Lursa. She just texted me, and we should look to the ballot and see if he's on there, because we should definitely.
Is he on the
sample
ballot right
isn't gonna
now?
Have those on there.
No, that's
Sample ballot
very.
just gonna
Is he
have the
on
things
this
that
right now?
everybody would see.
Which area? There's so many areas.
Just
Stalker.
here. Just do a function 3.
What's his name?
I'm gonna type it in.
I
No,
doubt
that's
they're
not.
gonna
I
show up on
don't
a
have a
sample ballot,
Mac.
Jeff.
Don't do that.
It's not a Mac. I have a PC. You just do a.
You just do a control F.
Yeah, then go. I'm gonna. Can we? Let's see if he's on
Function
here. Can we
F3.
identify him?
Nope, he's
Nope,
not.
he's not on there.
He
Sorry.
must already have a seat.
But apparently the Alaska Stalker's dad is on a Lursa. So that's actually something I learned today.
Somebody said, "Are we taking a drink whenever Jeff says loose?" And then someone else said, "Not if you want to be alive tomorrow."
I don't even think I've said lose once yet. I mean,
Yeah.
I
I
just
think you just
You
did.
just
Yeah, I believe it was. That these elections
Can we
must
rewind?
get loose.
Can we rewind the tape? Is that?
You did say these elections must get loose, or you bet they get loose for these board of.
I mean, I was obviously going to say it.
Limited service.
One of
areas.
our folks has said that it's a historical thing. I'm going to look this up because I just didn't know it.
So actually,
existed.
some people in the background here, so our team, Carolyn used to work for the city, and she was saying that these are like an anomaly in Anchorage. These races are kind of compared to the
interesting.
rest of the country.
That's pretty interesting. That's very interesting.
You know, I mean, you look at Anchorage though. When you have this municipality that's what is it as big as West Virginia, Rhode Island, one of those.
It's
something,
huge.
I don't know. I forget which
The
state.
Matt
were
Suburo
big
is as big as West Virginia,
Right.
so I'm going to say
So
you're not
you have
that
these
big.
huge spread out areas under one sort of taxing authority.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so so the idea that you would charge somebody maybe in one part of the center of town an extra property tax to plow roads up on the hillside
Mm-hmm.
where obviously some very wealthy people live, then obviously there would be some tension involved there.
I wish
So
somebody would
so if those folks want to provide services, they have to organize a bit amongst themselves to do that, because it's not like a city where everybody sort of gets plowed equally, or you want that sort of service. We have the geography of
Well, and some
I wish-
places must
of
get
Anchorage, I
like
think,
a
is
lot better road
challenging.
service because they're paying maybe top dollar for better road service.
I wish the city would just plow my road, my actual
Yeah, your
city
your
road.
neighborhood sucks so hard.
I think it's like a.
It's
I don't know
because
if
they
it's a
know
whole city
you
or it's
live
like,
there.
do you live there at Landfield? You going to complain? Well, keep complaining. By the way, our great production staff, our support team, Jason Gren's here, and he apparently can't reach. I'm not going to out you, the person who was supposed to be monitoring the phone. So if somebody could go let in
Just
Mr.
let him in the
Gren.
front
He's
the highly secure global headquarters.
Yes.
the guy
You
is
need
a
a
very secure
passcode.
building.
Undisclosed
Make him give the
location.
secret
Undisclosed
handshake.
location.
This is a very
Exactly.
secure building.
Yeah.
We need to get like a dinner card or something for Carolyn.
No, we do. And we got. While we're here, I just want to do another time. I want to give a great shout out once again to our great production team and our staff. So this space is a collaboration between Alaska Landmine and Jensen Hall.
There's some
We're
really pretty
50-50.
couches and chairs, and there's rugs. I'm so impressed.
Maybe we can do
And a very old chair.
We're gonna do a.
It has
We're gonna
to
do a
be-
We're
pan.
we're gonna do like Steve Jobs, like where you go like with a
Just don't
wireless
show my
cam.
feet. I took my shoes off.
Well, it's like we're gonna do a little just so you
Did
guys
too
have
much
the
of a
full.
wide shot?
We're gonna give you the wide shot full experience, kind of what we're seeing.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cool.
Now that couch, Scott and I went shopping for these couches at Sadler's, and some people commented that it was so cute. This couple was finally buying furniture for their home because we were like, no, that color, no, that one, and there's Carolyn on the live.
We lost
the feed. Oh,
Classic.
Hold on.
pattern.
Hopefully they can still hear us.
Hopefully they can still hear us. It's off. Yeah, it's off.
Yeah, we
It's
have
a bunch of
test
weird-
pattern.
Oh, we
the
made 'em
comments
do
are getting
something.
loose right now.
Oh yeah, we have a.
I think the cable might have come loose.
Jason, have a seat on the blue.
Uh-oh, is somebody?
I see that our captions are still coming
Yeah,
up,
no,
so we
is
are
there
still
somebody who's
on. There we
weighing
are. We're
in?
back. We're back.
We're back on the.
I'm okay for now. Thank you.
So again, folks, I want to just give a big shout out to our team. So this is a Alaska Landmine Jensen Hall collaboration. We're actually forming a new LLC, just to be all
Really?
legal.
What are you gonna call it?
Tudor Road Studios, which is actually not really anything. It's just a way to kind of combine.
Well, then why didn't you
as-
just make it something funny?
Well, because
No, that's really
Yeah.
boring.
I like the guy. Like we have a live
peanut-
studio
the peanut
audience
gallery
here.
weighs in.
It could have been funny. Yeah.
So look at that. We got a water bottle for the guy, the whole deal. So
First
My
class.
gosh, Carolyn.
So I want to thank our production
She's our
team.
hospitality crew tonight.
Our partners, Carolyn Hall, Scott Jensen, and Ryan Samsonite. Silver Syverson. Samsonite.
I think it was Stuyvesant.
Stuyvesant, yeah. Who actually went to high
Syverson.
school with Lee
It's
Baxter, which is
Syverson.
really kind of small town stuff. And then again, I want a big major shout out to our sponsors, GCI. Can we
Camera angle it.
can we get a tight shot on the
over here.
GC?
You're over here.
Tight. Oh,
Look that way.
camera one.
Now you're back.
Camera one.
There we go.
Camera two.
Camera two.
Better
Camera
two. Better
two.
one. Better two.
GCI. We love GCI. The internet here is
There's
amazingly
water in these mugs.
fast. No, great water.
Great water.
as well.
The
And then,
water's amazing.
Transforming.
Jim and Dittman Research, who's doing polling for campaigns and
Loose Unit
candidates.
Studios. That
and
would have been funny.
Loose Unit Studio. We can amend the LLC. I'm not even sure it's
the
formed yet.
LLC.
Dittman Research.
DBA. Loose unit. You need a DBA.
Doing great polling for businesses and candidates and initiatives, owned by Matt Larkin. They do a great job. And then Blueprint Alaska, who's a PR communications firm that Sarah Ekman Ward runs that. And again, we want a big shout out to our sponsors. I think we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to tee up a special guest in studio, former Representative Jason Gran, who's going to talk about what if this election was ranked choice voting.
As the state will be on the next election.
Correct. So we're going to take a quick break, guys. We'll be right back in a few minutes. Stay tuned for Jason Gran coming up next. Carolyn, you had one job to do. All right, folks, we're back. We had a bit of a break there. During that kind of pan camera angle that I requested, that I take full responsibility for, the HDMI cable in the camera snapped.
Because you requested something.
$30 cable, done. I'll be paying for that.
Yeah, right out of your check.
Now, also, Jason Grin is here in studio. He's on the couch, but we do actually have Bill Evans, candidate for mayor, calling in, so we've bumped Jason. Sorry.
He's sitting comfortably.
He's in the green room.
He looks comfortable. So let's queue up Bill Evans, a mayoral candidate, on the Zoom, and we're going to talk to Mr. Evans, who's at an election party for himself. Hello, Bill Evans.
Hi, Bill Evans.
Hey, Jeff. How's it going?
It's a really nice jacket.
You look like you have
Yeah, isn't it?
professional lighting on you right now.
He does. It's
Not bad.
Kale's
Kale
there.
Green with you, my chance?
I'm always professionally lit.
Are you making a joke like
That was
you're
good.
like you're getting
Take
lit?
it the way you want.
That is some Kale Green lighting right there. I
That's-
can tell.
So
Lighting by Kale.
Bill, it's a big day. You were one of the first, I think, to file, right? Last year, is that right?
Yeah, I filed and it was like right around 26, something like that, like 8-9 years ago. Kind of got in.
Been perpetually ever since.
Yeah,
now-
no, it's a lifetime election for me.
So
Been running forever.
So this is a big. We talked about earlier. There's 15 candidates on the. We got the guys. We got the sound in the background. There's 15 candidates in the race. 6 are running campaigns. You're one of the 6. What's that kind of? Maybe describe that. And I know there's the dynamic of the 3, kind of you, Mike Robbins, Dave Bronson, the conservative side, and then you got Falsey, Dunbar, Martinez, kind of the progressive side. How's that been navigating that kind of race?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody is pretty clear that, one of the sort of liberals and one of the sort of conservatives is going to come out of this election tonight and move into the runoff. And the whole last several months has just been a matter of who that's going to be. I think everybody thinks it's going to be Forrest on the left, and on the right it's a little tighter, but we'll find out in about 20 minutes or so.
So do you think that there could be 2 more progressive candidates that make the final 2?
No, I don't think that's likely. I think that'd be very surprising. I think there's a lot of votes out there for conservatives. A lot of people are dissatisfied sort of with the current administration and the past administration. And so I think there's a lot of frustration that's going to show itself in the vote. So I think the conservative candidates, whatever group that are going to have a lot of votes combined.
So you were on the assembly for 1 term. You chose not to run again. Full disclosure, I've known you for a long time. We're kind of buddies, done podcasts. You were, I think, frustrated with the assembly. Is that accurate?
I was tired of it by then. I mean, I was in the minority by that point. I'd gotten a lot done my first term. It started getting boring after that at Tuesday night meetings. You're only one of 11 votes, and you weren't controlling the agenda. So yeah, I'd had enough, and was happy to move on to greener pastures.
Andrew,
Well, I'm wondering what you make of just the turnout today. Certainly we've been seeing a lot of stories about turnout lagging. but it seems like that there's been sort of a rush of people getting their ballots in today. What's just your general feeling on where those voters are going?
Well, I mean, I think the common belief is that it's mostly a lot of the conservative voters who are suspicious or distrustful or just don't like mail-in voting that'll be voting, today. So I think a high percentage of these last-minute votes are going to trend conservative. I think that would be everybody's expectation on that.
Bill, like I said, you were in the assembly for 3 years. You're a lawyer in town here, and you were formerly a police officer in Cleveland and you have a military, so you have kind of a broad experience. But specifically on the Anchorage level, you were on the assembly, you were on the Budget Advisory Council. Is that right?
No, I was on the Transportation Commission and Employee Relations Board, a couple things like that, and Chamber of Commerce, those kind of things.
So not trying to build you up here. I'm just saying as somebody who's been involved a lot, and some of the other folks on the race who haven't really been on the conservative side as involved, the race has been kind of interesting. Some of the conservative voters, it seems, aren't as concerned with that stuff. It's more just very angry about the assembly, and it's almost a referendum. I mean, do you see that? I mean, that seems to me like at least to be one of the main themes of the race.
Yeah, I mean, this whole year, with COVID has been kind of a game changer for the politics of the city. People are angry about the whole lockdown and things like that. So it got a lot of people more interested. I mean, the whole buying the buildings thing this summer, AO 66 and all that, started a whole movement out there that is still kind of, on fire to a certain extent. And that changed the dynamic of what I think, how people were running and what people were looking for. So yeah, I think there's a definite sort of anger at the administration, at the assembly, that will manifest itself to some degree in the results tonight.
Bill, can I ask you that then? Because obviously knowing that was this anger out there, rather than I don't think it's really seemed like that you've tried to tap into that anger, but you've been more almost trying to run more of a broad general appeal type of campaign. So just what was your thought process in versus obviously recognizing that people are fed up, a large segment of people are fed up, but not necessarily trying to court that group as much as trying to appeal to a broad group throughout the campaign?
Yeah, I mean, tapping into that anger, while, it might be electoral, have good electoral results, is not who I am. I mean, I decided early on with this race, I wanted to run a race that reflected exactly what I believed in, who I was, for better or worse. And yeah, I mean, I'm not the candidate that anybody who's all pissed off at the assembly and wants somebody to yell at them is going to be attracted to. But at the end of the day, I think I ran on the issues that I think were important for Anchorage, for the demeanor that I think is important for Anchorage. And no matter what happens here in the next little while, I'm going to be very satisfied with it.
Well, Bill, I know you've been running for the race for over, well, I guess since last year, and I guess I've been there myself, so I know how it is. You're kind of waiting what's going to happen, and thank you for coming on. And you're having some folks over at you're having an event, or what are you guys doing over there?
Yeah, no, we've got we're at our campaign headquarters. We got a bunch of people in the other room. They're listening to music right now and then waiting for 8:30 to turn on the results and just having a good time.
Are you guys running like a good house beat?
Yeah, actually we do. Kale, he's
on the
in
ones
charge
and
of
twos
lighting
over
and
there.
house beats, so we're doing all right.
Good job, Kale. The lighting is top notch, so I imagine the beats are just as good. So.
Well, Bill Evans, mayoral candidate, former assembly member. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. You're the first candidate to appear on the live stream tonight on the election coverage, so we do appreciate it.
And I'm on the top of the ballot. I mean, that's got to mean something.
Last thing I wanted to ask you: the draw is random, and you were the first one. And I actually had some friends who don't pay attention as much, and they go, "I voted for the Evans guy because he was first."
That's what I want to hear. Yeah,
I mean,
good.
that's a good draw. I mean, that's better than the bottom or the middle.
Yeah.
No, it's all about hard work and just completely dumbass luck. So
Thank you so much for coming on.
Bill Evans, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
thanks.
And
Take care.
you owe Jason
Have a
Grin
good
a
night.
beer because you bumped him.
Yeah.
So, folks, we apologize. We didn't warn our guests coming into the studios that there was a camera they'd be walking directly in front of. So,
In classic fashion, Ryan McKee shows up with two
Ryan
women.
McKee shows up with an entourage,
Yeah,
and
like
we were
we
all just shaking our heads.
Weren't aware,
like,
but aren't
perfect.
surprised.
There's only 3 chairs in the room, but that's okay. No big deal.
I also I failed to mention this early on, and I probably should have. We're all vaccinated. I mean,
We
us
are,
3. I don't know
yep.
about those.
I
folk.
doubt that over there is
We got
happening.
some
but-
thumbs up. We got several different. I mean, looks like mostly yes.
But no, we actually got a lot of crap for the general election but we had actually been quarantining and we all got tested before that, and
Yeah, for the general in November, we everybody who was in the room was
we had
COVID
quarantined.
tested.
We had been tested
For
that
last
day
Election Central.
For
for
November.
Election
Okay.
Central.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I actually got a negative COVID test. Let's see, on Monday.
Yeah. How often do you have to get tested when you're in Juneau?
Well, actually, was pretty lucky about that because I had a positive corona. I popped hot in December because I was
But
going to go.
you're extended your 90 days now.
Well, no, because I was going to go to Hawaii. I popped hot in December. I had to wait quarantine. Then
Please don't
I was.
say popped hot.
That's usually a term for when you fail a drug test.
Yeah, it's just really awful.
Pissing hot, I think is what they say. Pissing hot.
So I had the Rona. I was asymptomatic. I mean, obviously very healthy. But
Obviously.
obviously unaffected by it. So then I had a negative test. But the way the legislature process works for the staff and legislators and people like media or executive, you have to get a test every 5 days. But if you have a positive test, you don't have to get tested for 90 days. So I was.
Can I interrupt really quickly for those commenting on the Facebook page? Calm down. This is not a vaccination debate.
Yeah, look, guys, we don't. If you want to get vaccinated, get
Come
vaccinated.
on.
If you don't,
We're just telling you because we have haters out there. Calm down in the comments. We're having a good time tonight.
it's always.
That's
It's a
enough.
flu pandemic.
Oh, I see the
Wuhan flu.
The down in
Calm
front
down.
comment.
It's okay. We're having a good time.
Real quick for the viewing audience and everybody watching, of us 3, I'd like you to take a guess, and please do that in the comments. Who is the most vaccinated, second vaccinated, clear out of all 3 of us? One of us is super vaccinated with the second one.
Wait. Well, there's 2 of us.
Out of all 3 of us.
I'm fully vaccinated.
Okay, well you.
I guess you.
I thought you met him.
I
ruined
I was
it.
trying to.
Everyone would have
Literally,
guessed
I was
me.
trying
That's
to
not a
guess because they were going to
surprise.
guess you. The answer is Andrew Jensen.
And me. I'm fully vaccinated.
I got.
2 weeks out.
I'm a partial vax. I mean, I got one. I got my next
I'm
one.
not actually fully till
Okay.
2 o'clock tomorrow.
But you've had 2 shots.
Hey, I want to give a tip that we actually got from Assembly Member Chris Constant. If you text START to the number 907-312-1012, you will get text updates as soon as the
Right.
election results get posted. So
And-
I
and
Is
have,
that in the comments or is that in?
no,
the,
he sent it. He posted it on his page.
Can we throw that on the big screen, or is that? I don't know if that's.
It's okay. We
probably
can do
a-
it. It's
We
fine.
want people to tune in here for the
numbers.
results.
But we'd rather you come here.
Come
and
here for the
listen to
results.
us.
Don't worry about getting
I will
text
say
messages.
it's really funny because I did it, and the auto response said, "Alrighty, you're signed up."
Alrighty.
Put it in the comments. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it in the.
So if you
comments.
text that number, you'll get the alert when the election results come in. So instead of going to a break, let's just bring up. Are we good? Let's bring up Jason Gren, who got bumped.
Sorry for bumping.
And it
you.
wasn't for an, it wasn't for an
He's right
animal
here
act,
next
I
to
guess.
me.
Get him. Good evening. Is his mic on?
I'll just talk really loud. Oh, yeah?
Or-
Cool.
He's been confirmed. Former Representative Jason Gren,
Thanks for having me.
Executive Director of Alaskans for Better Elections, which we thought in our last election central, we thought no way that thing's passing. Because it was very low.
We didn't think that. You thought that.
I mean, it was so down.
It was a mixed
on
bag.
election night.
I won't tell you the secret, but we
What do you know?
probably agreed with you. But we also you kind of see the landscape, and that was such a different election with mail-in votes and how it was handled. We were confident, but obviously you want to be up or as close as you can be on election night. But yeah, we were sweating it out a little bit, but we
had
felt
faith.
good.
Do you remember
I had faith.
the results kept coming in and it would get closer each time, but it still wasn't
Yeah.
until all the way at the end, kind of barely over the.
Yeah, I
over
think
the
probably
line.
the last 4 or 5 updates is when we really pulled it out. And I was in my kitchen. I remember checking it and just that feeling of we've all been involved in the elections, and you either win or lose. But when you get that feeling, it's overwhelming. And we were really happy, and we're doing a lot of work to talk about it and promote it. And happy to be here tonight.
It's
And it was
probably
really
bad.
convenient because I was going to cash a check, and you got fast cash right here in the parking lot.
Did you pick up some DVDs?
and Serrano's, and I needed a late night. Is that Serrano's?
Serrano's is next
too.
door,
Yeah.
and then Alaska Fast Cash is So
Very
my
convenient.
friend Bryce, who does own Alaska Fast Cash and this building, if you guys need a payday loan or cash a check, it's not a sponsor,
DVDs.
or DVDs or tools or whatever. I mean, they have
Yeah.
A gun.
They're actually Anchorage headquarters is right in a huge sign.
Yeah, I was
Now you're giving away the
I was
undisclosed
carrying my
location.
check around, and I just happened to I needed a gun and a camera and some
Perfect.
old DVDs, and this was the place. So
That's actually in statute. They can only charge 3% to cash a check.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually
There you
got
go.
familiar with the pawn statutes.
convenient and
How convenient.
affordable.
Somewhat affordable.
Yeah, well, there we go.
So,
But thanks for having me on.
Jason,
Yes.
you're here to talk about. You're obviously the executive director now of Alaskans for Better Elections. That was a group that got the, the single primary ranked choice voting,
It's very happy over here.
dark money. I'll be honest.
And
I was
open
a no
primaries.
vote. I'll be honest. I was a no only because I think the ranked choice is going to be very confusing. But I'm very happy that your group is staying around to you're not leaving.
Yeah, a lot of initiatives, I think if you look at kind of the history of the state and initiatives, a group wins or loses, and they say hooray, and they dissolve, and they expect the state to kind of do the bulk of the heavy lifting when it comes to education or kind of, making sure that it's implemented properly. And we know that obviously this is a big shift in how people vote and how they view elections. And so, we've worked really hard in the past few months to kind of create a new group. We have a 501c3 and a C4 that'll be working on working with different organizations, different individuals, and also educating the state as a whole. Really have a great team in place to be working from everywhere, Ketchikan to Nome, in between. Hopefully in person here very quickly. We can start doing those ranked choice voting, your favorite beer, favorite cookie, favorite ice cream type events, but really just the one-on-ones to explain the process because someone said it to me. It's going from like horse racing to car racing. You still go around a track. It's the same type of thing, but it's very different. And so,
But it's a lot faster and a lot more alcohol.
I hope that not much at all.
Reference.
So I guess that my question would be: so if it's for better elections, then explain how, for the devil's advocate position or the contrarian, if it's the ballot becomes more confusing, how is it a better election?
Yeah,
So-
and we actually think the ballot, we rank things every day in your life. You pick 1, 2, 3, 4 type of thing. And as a voter, that's all you have to do. You just have to, you can rank someone number one supporter. Or you can say, well, this second person, third person, up to a fourth person, or even write someone in. We do that every day. And obviously we know it's a shift and we have to explain things, but really it's so great because once you get, it's one of those things you almost have to do once and then you get it.
So
And the polls that come out, cities that have done it, states that have done it, countries that do it, Australia, other places that do ranked choice
They
voting.
do it in Australia. It's true.
In ranked choice voting, high, upper 80s, 90% of people go, that was really easy. It wasn't that big of a deal. You think it's a big deal because it is a big shift, and that's why we're committed to, that's what wakes me up every day is just making sure that Alaskans have a world-class experience when it comes to voting, and they're not confused, they're not intimidated, that they know what to do when they are voting next elections.
So talk about if this election today for the mayor with 15 people.
Yeah.
Talk about if that were under the same, new rules that were passed with ranked choice, with the single, that would be the single primary, right? And then the ranked choice voting. Talk about how that would look and what that would be right now.
No, it's been fascinating because obviously ranked choice voting during our election, people wanted to learn more about it.
You guys can chat back there. It's okay.
And we're fascinated by it. Pros and cons. Is this too confusing? Is this going to muddy the waters? Is this going to change how candidates work? If this, I think if in our mayor's election, I've heard from colleagues, friends, people go, man, I wish, because I like 3 people, but I have to be a little more strategic now. And do I have to vote for the winner? Do I vote for who I want to win, who I like the best? And as a voter, that's a weird feeling. If you look at a poll on Facebook and you go, well, all the polls say that X is going to win. I don't want to vote for the loser, so I guess I'll vote for who I think is going to win. So with ranked choice voting, you can say, look, landmine's not going to win.
No,
I love his.
That's true.
I love his stance on 2 or 3
we
issues.
have empirical evidence on that.
I love his stance. He really brought up some great topics, and I want to show support. And that's my guy as a voter. I just want to show support. But he's going to get 5th place. Let's be serious. So my 2nd place vote, I go, okay. I know that someone else is probably going to win. The polls say that she's raised the most money.
Don't say her name?
So as a voter, it feels very empowering to be able to show support in different ways.
But if we were doing this, if this was a open primary ranked choice, these 15, you'd still pick one, right? This is essentially the.
Or you
the
could,
first round.
you pick up to 4?
Well, so
Or would you just say, let's just do ranked choice for the actual election? No primary.
I think obviously, in a lot of places, ranked choice voting is seen, especially at a local level, as a way to do an instant runoff, right? So in this race, we'd probably just do instant runoff. It'd be one ballot, one time we vote, and the ranked choice voting would be implemented through different rounds.
In the state's case, four
people,
go
sure.
to the
right
ranked
now,
choice general.
So like right now in New York City, they're doing ranked choice voting for their mayor's race right now. They have 35 candidates, and there's no limit. And you can vote up to 30. It's like 35 candidates. You can rank 30. I mean,
You can rank all
You can rank all
35?
35.
That's
and,
absurd.
And honestly,
That's
who has the
absurd.
time to learn about 35 candidates?
Nobody.
Most likely,
I
people
mean,
will say.
we would break them down.
Well, it'd be pretty entertaining to rank 35 candidates and learn.
We couldn't even have them all on our show.
Well, I mean, 9 of them didn't. In this case, 9 of the 15 didn't run campaigns, didn't raise money, didn't do anything.
So if there was no limit, we're all kind of spitballing here. If you said, okay, in our race, you can rank up to whoever the number of candidates who's on there. Most people would probably stop at 4 or 5. I like I said, in kind of just the anecdotal talking to colleagues and friends and people going, I like 3 people. I'm kind of a center type person. I like, and I think it kind of breaks down in our race, the 5 or 6 people who are kind of the serious contenders. There's kind of a natural break, right? Something more progressive, something more conservative, and you're splitting votes, and people are worried about that, and you're having to vote strategically, and people want to show support, but they also don't want to, be someone who's going to be a spoiler. And so ranked choice voting, you're seeing some momentum. You're seeing bills in Wisconsin put through the legislature, actually, Republican-sponsored bills in Wisconsin, because people are kind of seeing some of the benefits of that. You're seeing more cities in this past election passed it because, especially at a municipal level, if it can save money and increase voter participation, generally those are seen as good things. And so if we didn't have to have a runoff election next month, you'd save the city $1 million, $1.5 million. And hopefully the participation in this election would go up then.
We didn't. We talked about this a bit, but there will be a runoff unless someone of these 15 gets 45%, and
Almost impossible.
extremely unlikely. I mean, if that happened, we'd all be shocked. So if someone doesn't get 45%, the top 2 vote getters will go to the runoff, which will take place on May 11th. The ballots go out, I think, end of April. I get the calendar, but the thing concludes on May 11th.
Right, because I think they have to certify by the 20th or something.
So they have to do this one, certify
they're
it.
accepting results up until the 16th is the last day for any overseas mail-in ballot. So I don't think you can certify, obviously, until after the 16th. So I'm not sure when exactly they would mail out.
So Jason, is your group talking about, is there any plans to try to do the ranked thing in Anchorage? Is that anything you guys have been?
No, obviously we're kind of seen as an organization and individuals who are advocates for it and like kind of that system. But right now our focus is the implementation, the good implementation of the laws that voters passed, and making sure that it's correctly funded through the state budget. That the division election has all the information that they need, that they feel confident talking to other jurisdictions who have done this.
Do they have to redo? Can the machines tabulate the way this thing works?
The machines are capable of it. There's a software upgrade that has to happen. It's a cost actually about $500,000, and then the state actually has about $200,000 for education in place, which they've said that
they should reach out to me on that.
That they'll start next May. But for us, our group, our focus is solely on what we call the defense, implementation, and the education of ballot measure 2.
Of all the video endorsements you guys had for the Alaskans for Better Elections, who was your favorite?
I had several, but there was one that was top of the heap, and it was, and I rank myself number 1. No, I'm just,
That's okay.
number
You
2.
did better.
No, and that was, you look at the results of that race. And, you had Trump win by 10%. You had oil taxes go down, a big percentage. And obviously we won by a percent, right? We won by a few thousand votes. And I think really we needed that spectrum of voters to win. And because, we had Republican supporters, Democrats, we had groups who were very progressive come out against us, groups very conservative come out against us. But our focus, being on voters, I think voters were ready for something new because they saw what happened in the August primary in our state. They saw maybe what was happened nationally of going, sometimes this red versus blue, we want to do something else.
Sorry. We have. Let's go live to that. We have development. Something's happening at election center.
Wait, we have.
Guys, is this loose or are we just showing just regular?
That's the YouTube feed from the election.
I know, but is something happening? Is something
They're
happening?
dropping ballots. They're dropping ballots.
Is something happening?
No.
This is incredible. Look at this is
They're
like
kicking out of
We have
action.
a live shot activity at election. I heard my earpiece. Some things there's activity. I don't know what that means, but
I guess they're bringing in
So
stuff
anyway-
from the drop boxes. Yeah.
Thank you
if-
for the footage.
if I
We
can-
sorry,
will-
Jason.
No.
It does look like we will be getting results here shortly.
If I can plug getting a tour of Election Central, it is fairly phenomenal to have them walk step by step of how what your ballot does and how they make it safe and secure. I spent 2 hours talking to the division elections team and just kind of step by step making sure I was trying to think nefariously of like, well, what if I wanted to do this with a ballot, or I found 10 ballots on the street. What could I do? I mean, it's pretty incredible how the steps they've taken to make sure
Well,
that,
we did,
election integrity is
the
maintained.
Landmine did a
It's
video in 2018 about the vote. I was curious, and we went through, and there's a feeder, there's the verification of the signature. I mean, there's a many steps when they get the ballot to verify it's. So I mean, I've always said the states and the cities that like ran just kind of really willy-nilly, let's just do vote by mail for COVID, who didn't have any process in place. That's more concerning to me than Anchorage, where they spent
Absolutely.
years
Yeah.
setting it up.
Oregon did the same thing. Colorado. If you spend years and you develop the system, then I don't really have a problem with it either. I prefer old school voting. I like to go in person and watch the counter roll over while I'm standing there. I mean, I just like to do that. But if you're, but yes, what happened, I think, in 2020 when you had sort of this willy-nilly from scratch mail-in balloting, I think people very rightly had concerns about that because you don't have the best voter rolls. When Anchorage started, you had to return a certificate. Yes, I live at this address, versus you had ballots just going to old addresses, bad addresses. This was going on all over the country, and so I think that I don't think that's any way to run a secure election. So I don't blame people for having distrust of the system in general. But I mean, Anchorage did spend years and years developing it, so I don't have the same concerns about it. I just miss doing it the old-fashioned way. So.
No, I think that nostalgic aspect of it. I've never missed an election in my life, and I mean, I do like going to the poll on that day and voting. It's a lot of it makes you feel like a voter. It makes you feel like you're participating.
I think that's sort of a minimal thing to do.
Yeah.
So.
But in concerns if you can't make it that day or you have trouble getting to a poll or anything, it is more convenient. But to your point, yeah, Anchorage, it's a top notch. From a security standpoint, they've done a great job.
Jason, I want to. We got another candidate, George Martinez, on the line. We're really happy you
I feel
came
like
in.
we keep bumping him.
No, I mean we're not bumping. I mean we had a great segment. No, I mean I do want to say that I think the fact that you mentioned that a lot of these things get passed, initiatives, and then the people just leave and they just give up, and then it's up to everybody else to kind of deal with. The fact that you guys are staying here and that now you're the director and that you're going to have it sounds like an actual campaign to inform people about how this is going to change the voting. That's to me that's positive, because my biggest concern or fear is like people don't know what's going on. They go to the ballot, they see these like oh my God, what is this? That's the last thing you want.
And the Division of Elections has been a great partner. We've talked to them about ballot design. We've worked with national groups about how they've done their ballot design. I mean, we're trying to, like I said, we want a world-class experience for voters. So when they show up in August and November of 2022, they go, that wasn't as bad as I thought, or wow, I love it, or I still don't like it. But at least they know about it and they know how to do it, and that's what we're aiming for. And so, like I said, what wakes us up every day, me and the team, is just making sure that we implement it correctly and that we educate every Alaskan on how to do it right. And if you have questions, website AlaskanForBetterElections.com. Lots of information, and feel free to email or text me or give me a call or anything you want. Yeah,
Like that plug.
that's what I do.
AlaskансForBetterElections.com.
There you go.
Former Representative Jason Gren, Executive Director of Alaskans for Better Elections. Thank you for coming in. Help yourself to beer, pizza, or Fireball.
I will partake.
Those
Thank
things
you.
are not in this room.
We
but
have-
I'm sure that you could.
We do have plenty of all three of those things.
Yes.
Thank you
for
so much,
being here.
Jason Gren. I really appreciate you coming on.
Of course, you
Thanks.
guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So on the Zoom we have candidate George Martinez.
Oh, yeah, watch the. We got to tell
Hi,
our
George.
guests in studio to watch the camera. George Martinez, how you doing?
One moment. We are
hold
dealing
on,
with. We can't hear you quite yet.
Hold on 1 second. We're gonna get the sound.
He can hear us though. That's good. That's good.
Is it?
Yeah, that's me waving at Chris Collins.
This is how you could win.
Get down.
Do you
Is
know
it-
sign language?
Are you muted, George? Do you know sign language?
He does know.
He might be muted.
He's checking. He's checking.
You're kind of sideways now, but.
Oh, we can hear you now.
All right. Well, I'm going to take the headphones out
There
and
it
we'll
is,
just
there it
go.
is.
It was those
Well,
headphones, those
That's
rascal
working.
headphones.
If
They
you want to just
ruin
adjust,
everything.
you're a little bit sideways now. You kind of adjust. If you want to
fine.
adjust that a little bit,
He's
but
fine.
no big deal.
There we go.
There we go.
Perfect. You're perfectly centered
Oh.
for OCD Jeff.
No, I'm just saying. So George Martinez, thanks for coming on. I got to say, I recently became aware of and we should pull that up actually. I don't know if we could get it. You're featured in like a rap video that was kind of the main video for the Occupy Wall Street. Like you're on the subway, it's pretty amazing actually.
Well, thank you, Jeff. That might be one of the nicest things you've ever said about me or to me.
Oh.
I like. Hey,
we're starting it off.
you're the Bronx
All
guy,
right.
man. I like your style. I like your style.
George, way to go.
Jeez.
Well, standing up to Wall Street bankers for individual liberties and freedom remains important to me.
So you were one of the you got into the race kind of later, right, compared to the other six kind of ones running campaigns.
No, we filed paperwork in the December about of 19, so just at the beginning of 2020 before the pandemic, in fact.
Now, tell us a little bit about your campaign and why you decided to hop in the race.
Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My campaign, I stand really proud of what we've accomplished, proud of building a diverse coalition of everybody, really. My message has been focused on bringing people together, and the campaign accomplished that. I'm proud of having Republican endorsers and supporters, Democratic endorsers and supporters, nonpartisans and independents, and everybody else in between. So I'm really proud of what we've accomplished. And when I first decided to run, I focused on making sure that, for me, recognizing that the future of my family depends on the future of this city, that I had a background that was unique with a depth of experiential lived experiences and a depth of professional experiences that I think that could help bring people together and move Anchorage forward with effective public policy. And my role in the mayor's office gave me a firsthand view of the challenges and opportunities that we face. And I thought it was a really good opportunity for me to be able to move forward, bring together a diverse coalition, and we launched a very successful campaign. And I'm really proud of the integrity, the messages, and the positive tone that my campaign started at the beginning and continues, and we'll finish strong with it.
So you ran for Congress in New York. Talk about what are the similarities and then what are the differences for running for Anchorage mayor.
Well, I'm more focused on the race here, and if I'm going to do a connection to politics in the lower 48 and my past experiences, particularly in New York, where I was born and raised, but have been traveled many more places since that point. I really want to focus on, and something that I focused on in my race, which is the level of toxic partisanship that we see in the lower 48. We see it here in our city, and from my perspective, when I did those political endeavors, when I did challenge the democratic power structure in New York, it was, again, standing on the call that we need to get money out of politics, get voters into politics, and really getting the voices of people into the political process instead of the Wall Street bankers. And so I had the privilege of being there, standing on that.
Mr. Martinez, if you are not to emerge as a victor tonight, you've done a really great job of trying to unify the people of Anchorage. What do you hope to keep doing to promote that message?
Well, the good news is my campaign wasn't just the starting point of that work. It was a culmination to some extent of the work that I've been able to do thus far in Anchorage. And so thank you for the compliment on what we've been able to accomplish. I think our message has been clear, our media has been strong, and our outreach to parts of our community that have been underrepresented, to give them an opportunity to have their voices heard, give people an opportunity to know that there are other choices out in this environment, I think has been the strongest part of our campaign. But something that someone mentioned a little bit earlier about turnout. We know that in Mountain View, there are at least 40, I'm gonna say, we're gonna look at this, but at least 40% of the people, 4 out of 10 people that we've spoken to have not received a ballot, didn't receive a ballot, have lived in their homes for many years. And so there were some real problems with making sure that everyone had the ability to vote in this election. We'll hopefully see some degree of a positive turnout today, but there are a lot of folks that I concern myself with being disenfranchised. That work of voter political literacy, that work of bringing people together, that work of investing in our young people is the work that I have been doing already, and it will continue. This campaign has just galvanized a specific call to action that an independent can run, can be aggressive about bringing people together, not as performative, but as a fundamental nature or the fundamental thing that the mayor has to do. The mayor is the top diplomat of our city, bringing people together in a city with over 100 languages, political party affiliations in every different direction, and a fundamental underlying value of how do we work together seems to me that work will continue. I'm proud of what our campaign has done, and we'll continue to work on bringing people together in every which way I can, whether it's through creative art, whether it's investing in our young people, whether it's standing in solidarity with underrepresented voices in our community, or when there's racism, bigotry that shows its ugly head. It reminds me of a few years ago where We Are Anchorage got together because there was an attack, a racist attack on a South Sudanese family. And people got together, myself included, and said, we're not going to have this in our city. That's the city that I want to live in. That's the city that I want my children to grow up in. That's the legacy and the promise of the bridge builders who imagined that Anchorage would be the first city without prejudice. So that work continues. We do have work to do, but if my campaign is any indication, there is a real core heart and spirit in this city that wants us to get back together, roll our sleeves up and work together. We can disagree with dignity, but we can still find our way forward for what's best for all of us in our city.
Well, George, really want to thank you for coming on the live stream here and talking to us about your campaign. I've always liked you. I like the video. I hope we're cool, man. I've actually always really got along with you.
We're all cool. I was making sure, depends on Jeff. I know,
it's okay if you're
it's
not
a hop,
cool
skip,
with
and a
him.
jump
It's
to
okay.
come on down to the studio if we wanted to have further discussion. But I appreciate
if you want to come on down, I'll text you the address, man.
I appreciate you looking at the music video too. What I know is that there's a great degree of talent in our city. There's a lot of people who don't believe that their talent and their passions can contribute positively to public life. And I want everybody to know, don't lose your talent, don't lose your passion to be able to be a part of solving problems in our city. I want all the young people to know that you can bring your talent into the public space. I want every person to know that they matter. And that's what our campaign set out to do. And I feel really proud of what we've accomplished. And I'm looking for the returns.
Mr. Martinez, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and I hope that no matter the outcome tonight, you continue to do that good work in our city. I really appreciate it.
Very high energy. Thank you so much, George Martinez.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're having a great party, so I got to get back to we're doing a little reggaeton music tonight, and it's a good eclectic mix.
I have a feeling his party's actually going to be better.
If I was there, I'd be getting loose. That's a guarantee.
Well, maybe you bring the loose unit on down.
Text me the address and I'll be there after
you
this.
send the address.
Don't talk
we'll
about
be
his
right
loose
there.
unit. Don't talk
Our
about his
campaign,
loose
remember,
unit.
we're in Mountain View, campaign headquarters, very safe, but this is America's
I drove a cab. I drove a cab.
You be careful because we're actually
I
coming
drove a
now.
cab for 2 years. I went to Mountain View a lot. I have no problem. You text me the address. I'll come down after this. All right, buddy? Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, and
Thank
have
you.
a great night. Thank you for the coverage and the opportunity to be with you all tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
George Martinez.
Thank you, George.
Guys, it's 8:46, and I think the results.
I've been checking it. I've been refreshing. It hasn't
Some point,
happened yet.
I have
so.
not gotten a text back from Already
Me
Then.
either. Already Then has not texted us.
Just as an aside, have you noticed how that's informal sort of the IT world has gotten? Like when a Google tab crashes and it goes, oh, snap.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, it does that.
It's the same person writing
Yeah,
that text message.
I think so, yeah.
Is Ryan McKee actually coming on the show, or is he just sitting here drinking
Ryan's
beer?
coming on. I have two things I want to say. First of all, Assemblymember Christopher Constant is here in studio. We'll be having him on in a second. And I gotta just, I'm just as a legit question.
Who is
Are
that?
those girls twins? Are you twins?
Are they?
They are women.
Wait,
But are they twins?
women, are you twins? Sisters.
Okay, that's good enough.
Okay, but they look very similar.
They look similar. Thank you.
All right. Could be fraternal.
Anyway,
been
who's
reprimanded.
that person? Who are you? Are you coming on the show?
Let's take a quick. We're gonna take a quick break.
Like a
before we do
2-minute break.
Before
5
2-minute
minutes.
break. Before we do that, I
2
want to thank our sponsors, GCI, for providing hyper fast gigabit internet. Dittman Research for just doing amazing polling for companies and campaigns and candidates. And if you have like a group of people and you want to know what they're thinking, you call Dittman Research.
Like even my friends?
If you want to pay them for that, yeah, I mean, well, probably if you're for your friends, if it's small enough
Just
group, you
check
don't
their
need
Facebook page.
You could just like do a
I like
survey
independent
monkey.
research.
You could do a survey monkey for that. If you have a group of like 30 to 80 to 1,000 people, 10,000 people, anyways, and then Blueprint Alaska, PR Communications. If you're in trouble, if your business is like, oh my God, something happened
Or
bad.
if you're doing really good and you want to keep doing really good.
Right, but in a crisis situation, you want to call Blueprint because they're going to help you get out of that. Or if you want to have somebody just represent you and help you, craft a message in a positive way, yes. But if you're like in a crisis,
You just really like drama.
that's when you want to
take a
call
quick break.
Blueprint. Anyways, we're going to take a quick break. Be back in a few minutes with a very special guest from a large lake in Anchorage, Alaska. Be right back, folks. Okay, folks,
and we're
and
back.
oh.
Sorry, I just like doing
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I just like stealing your line.
We're back on the live stream. We are joined in studio live with Trevor Jepson. How you doing?
Doing pretty well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You have been involved in some of the campaigns, but first I want to say that you're a now former resident of Campbell Lake.
A former resident. I'm out of the fight at this point in time.
But you did like live. You
Did
did like.
you move because of Jeff's article?
Oh God, no. Jeff could never make me move.
I love that. But you did live on Campbell Lake. So
Yeah, I did. When I was going to school there, I was living there with my parents. Yeah.
That's just if you lived on like Jewel Lake, I wouldn't have brought that up. But so you worked on a couple of the campaigns. You want to talk about that and talk about
Yeah.
just to be clear, the results may be at some point coming in which case we're gonna flash to that.
Yeah, no problem. So me and my girlfriend.
Maybe get
Sarah,
that mic a little closer.
me and my girlfriend Sarah Hatimi have a small business called Pragmatic Data Solutions. We pretty much just got into it the last.
Sure, you keep talking.
On
the
the
results
last.
up?
Yeah, but you can keep talking.
Oh.
But Scott, if you can go ahead and pull the results up.
Okay.
So I said that they might be coming up.
But you
Completely
finish
fine.
you.
Yeah, Pragmatic Data Solutions are a little company where we run data for political campaigns. We've been using i360 because it's much superior to the GOP data.
I360 is a system that the Koch brothers
Yes.
built years ago, but it's very, very useful
Yes.
in a lot of
They
candidates.
started it right after the Obama campaign, kind of revolutionized the whole campaign process by using big data to mine for voters and do targeted voting.
I've been involved in some campaigns that have used it, and it's so accurate,
Yeah, definitely.
So talk a little bit about when you're campaigning, like these Democrats, Republicans. There's different ones out there, but what are you looking to do with those systems, and how do they work for campaigns?
So pretty much you have these modeling tools where you can do anything from looking up people's how much money they make to their political affinity, which is where they rank on a scale from Democrat to Republican. You can look up interests, pretty much everything about voters, because nowadays when you're online and all the data that you put onto Facebook or Google, that's all stored and that's all sold. So
I think a lot of people complain about it, but we don't. I mean, Andrew, we don't really do anything about it, right? I mean, the data's out there.
I think that's kind of the story of a lot of things.
Yeah.
From watching the results,
Are you looking at the results?
Well, no, that's
We are.
no, just I think I think social media has given people an outlet to where they think if they just are spouting off, they're doing something about
Yep.
something versus actually really doing something about it.
Yep.
And so I
Yep.
think that's why you have a lot of the social media sort of mobbing. And that people looks like their good deed for the day.
Yep.
They bash somebody on Twitter, or they
Oh.
said I did this, and I'm a good person
a lot
on
of
Twitter,
people-
and then that's
It's-
it.
it's the
They
total
sort
virtue
of- it's a
signaling,
very-
the virtue
it's a very
signal
easy-
culture.
It's a very low cost, low risk way to
Yeah.
say feel like you're accomplishing something or you're part of something.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're on one side of the aisle, because that's where all the big tech companies,
Right.
social medias, they're pretty biased, they're pretty one-sided, and they don't really care about hiding it. So
Yeah, Twitter is not real life.
We do have the initial. Well, the results. I guess they're not going to change. So
Is that right? This is it.
This is
nothing
what
This
we
is it
all
for
we get
tonight.
for tonight.
and then
Because
there.
this is only tabulating. It's only showing 10,000
What's
votes
funny is
for the
my
mayor's
text
race.
message,
Okay,
Mr.
so this can't be
Constant,
right because we know there was
just
30-some thousand votes that were turned in.
So
before
this-
today.
we
This
should-
is only showing 10,000 ballots.
We should reach out. Yeah, you're right. We should reach out
This
to
is-
the.
Yeah, this is not. I can't imagine that we're only going to get 10,000.
No, I mean I
That
was
would be a
I was
big
thinking
bummer.
about 30.
Yeah,
30
and
to-
so there's got to be
Who
some
can we call?
updating here. So.
Do we know any assembly members?
I'm looking at my text message. The alrighty then person has not
Kidding, 'cause there's no one in
replied.
the room.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
we
it's,
Chris Constant, do you want to just look into that for us? Because
Thank you.
we have someone looking. So guys,
So-
very very preliminary. Let's go back to the main screen
So
with the
there you go.
results.
There's the
if we
mayor
can,
one
Scott.
right there. There's the first
So,
results.
Yep, Forrest Dunbar in the lead right now with 3,701.
Go down a
and
little bit,
Dave
yeah, and then we got-
Bronson coming behind him at 3,116.
Which is
The
which
next
is
closest is Bill Falsey at
which is
12. That
surprising.
surprises
I
me. I thought it'd be Bill Evans.
yeah. So yeah, I had fault. I mean, never run
Again,
for
and that's
office.
why I
I
say that there's
Again,
that
this
these
is
are going to be
10,000 ballots.
Right.
So this is not even remotely. This is a quarter of the vote.
that
Well-
we knew was in before Sunday.
So-
So,
so-
or by Sunday anyway.
there,
So,
there was. Let me just pull this up here. There was as of 2 days before the election, they had received 34,000
right, so
ballots.
I imagine we'll
That's
have to
what.
get
So
some more
maybe
than,
we
more
get
than
a little bit
10,000
more tonight. We're not
results
sure.
here.
We have people checking. Moving on down to the recall vote for Felix Rivera. Right now, yeses vote of 638, no vote of 939.
And again, when you look at the turnout today, people
Yep.
standing in line, I imagine
I
there's
mean,
a few
it's almost
recallers in
yeah,
there.
it's
so.
almost silly to report these, but we're going to.
Yeah.
School board.
Yeah, these are very.
Very, very preliminary.
Man, Judy Eldridge and Kelly Lessons pretty close.
Yep, Kelly Lessons leading Judy Elledge by about 300 votes. School board seat E, we have Pat Higgins, quite a bit of a lead over Sammy Graham.
Pat Higgins, he was on the school board. He was also, for a while, he was on the school board from the Marshall Islands many years ago. So
That's amazing, actually.
he's
My aunt works there.
in the Marshall Islands.
She does. She's a teacher.
Is she on the school board?
No. School board seat F, a huge lead from Dora Wilson. That doesn't, I mean, if that trend continues, she's unbeatable.
She had a Pikachu.
School board seat G, we have a very tight race, separate about 600 ballots between Carl Jacobs and Elisa Vacalis. Vacalis. I was wrong on both. Oh my God, are we going to go through all the
She married the
Lurses?
former city manager's son, I think, George Vacalis.
Should we go through all the Lurses?
We're not going to talk about the Lurses.
Oh, okay.
So again, folks, let's be very clear. These results are based on about 10,000 ballots, which is, a third of what was received less than a third of what was received a couple days ago. So,
Yep.
Right.
What's that?
Right. Right.
Are we adding more,
And that's
Chris?
of eligible voters is the 4.48%. So.
No more tonight.
That's all we're going to get?
Oh yeah.
That's the most depressing thing
That seems very
I've ever
low
heard
energy.
in my life. Did they know that we were going to do Election Central? Like, did they
Did
understand
they get the memo?
that we're going to be on TV?
That's that'll be interesting.
Okay,
to see
since
what
we
the
have so we have
explanation
plenty of
of
time
that
to talk
is.
about it. Let's
Trevor, what do you think about this very preliminary?
very
I mean,
preliminary.
I thought we were going to have 30 to 40,000 votes tabulated tonight. What the hell is
Are
that?
we going to have to do Election Central every night this week? No.
Trevor, what do you think? I mean, 10,000.
Yeah, I mean the way that the ballots were coming in, everyone was aware of this. We had like super low turnout this year, which
Yeah,
was a
but
big
this
surprise.
is super low results.
Yeah, so what I was seeing, because I was tracking the ballots, how many they were counting every day, and it was fairly insignificant, but it also was going up by like a relatively similar amount every day. So I don't know if they're just like, we're calling it, working 5-hour days, or like
Maybe
what they
the
were doing
state
there.
Division of
Yeah,
Elections
this
is working
This is
on the
very
meeting.
strange, because there was like 20,000 ballots in a couple days ago. So
Right.
what-
And I know. Yeah, I mean the last ADN story said that as of yesterday, there was 45,000.
Yeah, so
which
what are they
was,
doing?
Which was several thousand more than this time, the day before last year's election.
so these results-
So there was a big surge of
Yeah.
ballots here at the end. So we're looking at right now 10,000 out of the 45,000, and that's not counting everything that's coming in today
Yep.
from in
Like-
person
like,
and
are they-
drop-offs.
and-
So we could be looking at we're missing 35,000 that we know about, plus potentially thousands
Yep.
more.
Well, the
So
question is,
this
are these 10,000 votes that came in first, the first
Or are these
10,000
the
votes
ones
that
that
came
were
in,
cast
or are these a
today?
mix of votes that came in over the whole?
Or are these what were cast today?
Someone gave me a look. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea where these votes are. These the first 10,000 votes that came in early on, because that might be a different kind of voting group than the people who are going to vote at the end.
yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So
Right.
I think the Republican candidates
And-
are still looking pretty good, especially Bronson and Elledge.
I think if you look at the early, for Bronson to have 3,100 compared to Forrest 3,700 in the first batch of whatever that came in, because I
Yeah.
think there was some feeling that some of this late turnout was going to favor conservative or favor
Yep.
Bronson. But it
Definitely.
looks like, and who knows where these came from, but that's a pretty strong showing
It does
for,
say-
for the ballots that were turned in early.
When you
Yeah.
look
You
at
know.
the precincts, it just says 0 of 123. So I don't know what that means, but
Yeah, that's another big.
So
Yeah,
are they
because-
doing like a
well-
cards cast where you can like check out like where these ballots are coming from?
we need someone from Uni Elections to call us immediately.
Someone, so
If only there was somebody in the room who
So
works for the
I have an
municipality. who
election
could-
guru texting me right now. So hold on.
Oh, an election guru is texting.
Oh, actually, it's not about election stuff at all.
Oh.
I mean,
Hello, we're busy.
And it's at least looking at it, since it's all we have to look at. If you add up Evans's 1,000 with Bronson's 3,100, that's 4,100, and then Robbins that gets about 4,800, which is right about when you add up Falsey and Dunbar.
I need to
You're right
pull
about
up this
4,900 to
What are we doing this
4,800
math
between those
for?
two sort of factions.
Yeah.
Anyway, at least in this first batch, for whatever
Yeah.
that's worth.
I mean, it's a little odd too, because registered Republican turnout was above the registered Democrats, but I mean, the largest group, the U's and N's.
you kind of talk
Right.
like you're from New York.
Oh.
I love that. Though.
I don't know.
Like,
I get that sometimes. Sometimes I get Australia. Sometimes I get.
Where
I
are
get
you
British.
from?
I'm
Here?
just from Anchorage.
Oh,
I don't know.
bless
I
your
guess,
heart.
See, this is like his accent. Like I don't want to fight you.
I guess I just talk funny. I don't know what it is.
Just like a very aggressive kind of like like Bronx.
Yeah.
almost.
Well, we
So you're
don't-
talking about an aggressive voice. Okay, I see that.
No, not
Jeff.
the voice. It's just more like the I don't want to mess with you.
Yeah.
For
Well,
800 votes.
we appreciate
so,
you coming
so
on.
far.
Yeah,
Is
thanks,
there any
guys.
other thoughts you'd like to share with us before we head to our
Yeah,
next
well,
guest?
what campaigns were you in?
Yeah.
Were you involved in some of the campaigns?
Yeah,
or-
with the Elledge, Paulson, and the Bronson campaign. Or
Judy,
excuse me,
I
the
think
we
Robbins. What
found
am I
that
talking
out.
about? Yeah, with the
Okay.
Robbins campaign. Yeah, but so I thought I came on here so I could kind of push the Alaska Young Republicans. That's what I.
Just go-
You do you.
that.
Yeah. So I'm the current chairman. We kind of reorganized last year and became extremely active in all the House races, and we made thousands of voter contacts, and we're kind of planning to keep that going. So I mean, anybody who's interested, come to our meetings. You can see them on Facebook. They're every month, and we just want to keep growing the group and keep getting good, strong Republicans and conservatives involved.
As a former member, I'm now an independent, but as somebody who does hang out with those folks, it's a fun group.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
yeah.
It's a good time.
A little more work now though from back in the day though. So you can join, but I'm expecting you to make some phone calls.
I do that, but I'm an independent now. So I mean,
Yeah,
am
so,
I invited,
yeah.
or can I come to the
Oh,
meeting?
you can. Oh, it's open to the public. Anybody can come.
Oh my God! Well,
Yep.
Maybe not any-
remember those gallows meetings we used to do? Yeah. Brian's giving a thumbs up in the couch.
Ooh.
What would you do for content though if you're not getting kicked out on meetings?
Yeah, I mean,
what would you do for half your content?
The actual party doesn't like me to come to the meetings, but you guys are probably cool with me. So
Yeah. Why not?
love that.
I think you're entertaining, and we disagree a lot, but
Hey, I mean,
you're just
if you want to
you're
look
just
at
doing your thing.
That
so.
was a proverbial little pat on the head there.
if you want to look at somebody who agrees with you 100% of the time, look in the damn mirror. Until then, let's just have a good time and
Yeah.
drink some Fireball.
Ooh.
Trevor Jepson, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Really appreciated you coming on the stream, and hopefully we get some more results
Yeah, right.
tonight. I don't
We're not going to.
doesn't sound like
next
it.
month. We'll see what happens, right?
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Trevor Jepson, former Campbell Lake resident.
So, are we having Ryan on next?
Yeah, certification
Or
is
do we need Chris?
April 20th. Let's see here.
Hold on a second.
I want one of them to start walking over here so we can talk about these.
Let's queue up Chris. Let's kind of keep this balanced. Watch the camera, my friend.
Assembly member Chris Constant, who is not on the ballot today,
Chris won his recent election last year unopposed.
No one bothered
And before we
because they knew.
before we get to something for Christopher Constant, I want to give a big shout out, a huge major shout out to our sponsors. First of all, GCI, who provides great, guys, hold your cups up, great internet. It's a gigabit speed. I mean, do a speed test, get on their Wi-Fi network, and you're going to see how fast it's blazing
Thanks,
speed.
GCI.
It's blazing speed. So if you guys need internet or TV or cable or a phone,
That's who I use. GCI for my.
I mean, you want to get in touch with GCI, who are one of our platinum sponsor, if you will. Also, Dittman Research. If you need questions about polling for your business or your campaign or your life, and you have the money, you want to get a hold of Matt Larkin over at Dittman Research. They do great polling work. Actually, they've always pretty much called it right, haven't they, Andrew? Dittman gets it right.
I guess I would have to go back and look, but it would seem so.
Dittman's a good polling firm. And then Blueprint Alaska. If you have any communications or public relations needs, Sarah Ekman Ward, another big sponsor. Sabrena knows somebody who works over there who's great.
Shout out Cassie Campbell.
Cass Campbell, big fan. So those are the sponsors. We're really happy to have them. They make this possible. Also, Jensen Hall Creative. That's our partner in the studio here. Scott and
relation.
Carolyn, they're doing amazing
Carolyn's
work.
doing double duty tonight as our hospitality person, so we thank you so much.
Carolyn's amazing.
Above and beyond.
Big fan of her. So is Scott. So and then we got Ryan Silvertson, who's
Cybertson.
They screamed in our earpieces, Cybertson! I'm like, oh my God.
Cybertson.
I mean,
We're gonna owe him something.
Samsonite. I'm gonna call you Ryan Samsonite.
Samson.
I'm buying him a briefcase.
All right.
Samson.
With us in the studio.
Chris,
Isn't that fun to say? With us in the Landmine studio.
Landmine Jensen Hall studio.
Oh, sorry, that sounds really big. I think we need
Global
that.
headquarters. What do you think about this place, Chris? Just honestly, first thoughts, first impressions.
I'm glad you got a place. It's good.
Oh.
It's
You
about
have a
time.
low
You're
voice.
as anticlimactic.
You don't seem very excited.
as these
I'm
election
excited,
results.
sorry.
What's your shirt say?
My shirt says Campbell Lake Public Recreation
Hold that
Area.
there for a second.
Established
1959.
1959. Turn to the camera.
Can we do a just
Can
real
we
quick?
zoom?
Yeah, there
Oh,
we go.
yeah.
That's
Look at that direction.
That's nice. Did you get that at their public use area?
I did actually. They're selling tickets right on the shore side.
That's
a
so nice.
Yeah.
a shirt you're wearing.
Friends of the
Is there like a
Campbell
fee
Lake.
area parking?
Is there a
I mean, like you
fee?
put
Not
$5
yet,
in
but
a box.
we're working
Is it
on
for the
it.
trail?
Yeah,
The
we're
trail?
working on it. There's
Yeah.
some
Okay.
properties we'd
So-
like to buy.
All right, Assemblymember Christopher Constant, downtown Anchorage. You're the sole downtown guy for now.
For now, very excited about that. As soon as the census is done and reapportionment happens, we get 12 members on the assembly, a new seat for the downtown.
Okay,
So tell us why you think we only are seeing 10,000 ballots.
yeah, I'm very
tonight.
frustrated
Yeah,
about that.
I don't know why we only have that many. In years past, they've processed about 60% on the first night. And so
God.
I don't have an understanding why. I'll figure that out later.
Is there someone you can yell at?
Can we
I
can we
won't
call
yell at them.
someone?
But they did tell me that that's it for today and that you can expect new results tomorrow between 5 and 6 p.m.
Sounds
And
like
so-
we're doing
5 and
a
6
Zoom from
p.m.
home.
Yeah, because they process ballots all day long, and it's quite a thorough and deep process. So I can't say. I will find out why we got to only so many. But yes, there's only so many.
Maybe
I
they
think,
took a cue from the
no,
Alaska division. of
I think what
elections.
might have happened is, yeah, that's true. What might have happened is because there was such high volume turnout at the library today that they had to take staff and move them over to get people voting because today's priority was to make sure.
Wait, but don't these ballots
people vote.
throughout the election when the ballots go out, they go in the machine and they get counted and they get tabulated?
The way the process works is they screen the envelopes in, and then they sort the ones that have some kind of problem. They take the ones that are valid. Then they have a couple people remove them from the sleeves, and then they go from one chained area to the next. And then they get enough of them together that they scan them as they go, but they don't tabulate them until the
Right,
last
but there's no
moment.
way they've only done 10,000 of those.
And
Until
that's where
now.
I'm confused because if we had 30-some thousand in as of Sunday,
they
then
knew that.
what
They
would
had to
be the
count them.
reason that if you had to pull staff today, that you weren't be able to processing some of those ballots yesterday?
I would assume
Like,
they
this
have been.
is-
My assumption is, and of course we'll figure this out. My assumption is they have been doing all of
Mm.
those processes, and I don't know why they only got through 10,000, but that's what they got today.
So we know there's not going to be an update today. We know that.
I heard from the clerk that there will be no more today.
Barbara Jones,
I did ask her, and she replied, "Yeah, no more today."
you're in contact with her. I love that.
Yes.
We're not blaming her, maybe.
No, she's done a
Maybe.
great job. They've worked really hard down there, and it's just again an
Yeah, there we
year.
go, guys. Look at that. 4.48%, 10,000.
Now
And
that's,
we-
That's of
and
the
that's only
city.
percent of eligible
It's
voters.
4.48% of
yeah.
eligible.
Right, but we know of this point. That's there's about 35,000 ballots that have been
Which is
received.
Because that's about a quarter of what was there through yesterday.
Right, and then
They
the
said
43. It was
45,000
43 today.
45, yeah. What did
it was 43 in today, and then
ADM
whatever we
said?
get. So a lot of people have been speculating. What are your guesses on the total number of ballots we're going to get?
I'd say probably 55,000. Which if you look in 2018, the last comparable kind of mayoral race, there was I did a little chart
Yeah,
on
yesterday
this.
it was 45,726 as of
Oh,
yesterday.
okay, my
By the
list
end
had
of day
43.
yesterday, the election center had received 45,726.
Yep.
According to Erica McConnell.
Gotcha.
So let's move.
No, 55 is too much. It's probably going to be more like 40.
Which,
45.
well, I mean,
45.
think about, but drop-offs today, in person today, stuff put in the mail today.
Yep. I'm betting
you could
closer to
I mean,
62.
I would think you'd have
62?
thousands more ballots.
62.
That's going to be my bet today. Is 62.
See, I would
So-
even be curious to know why, if they can't tell us how many people voted in person up through 8 o'clock.
No, it
You
won't
would
be
think
able
you
to.
would, like, just how many, not necessarily the results, but how many people
Yeah.
voted today. Surely they have an idea.
Don't you feel like in
of
the past
that,
we
you
just
know?
always knew this shit, like on election night?
Yeah, but they didn't do the
God,
online
it's
voting.
like this happened with the last time with the state. We didn't know who won for like a month after the damn
Oh,
election.
that won't happen
Jeffrey?
here. It'll be just a
I know it's
couple
a state
days.
thing, but Jesus, like
It'll be a
let's
couple
get the
days.
results.
Okay, so anyway, while we have you here, let's talk a little bit about propositions. Right now, there's two. Proposition 1 and 2 have the same title: area-wide facilities capital improvement project bonds.
Yep.
But Proposition 1 right now is behind by 200 votes at a no, but Proposition 2 is ahead by almost 1,000 or over 1,000. So what's the difference between those two propositions?
Let me look closely because usually
No, I
we
want you
have.
to know it off the top of your head.
I kind of do, but I don't know which is which.
Which one?
Usually-
Usually, prop for the body cams.
Yeah, it is. Usually we
I'm on
have
just one.
one.
Oh, there it is, yeah, police
one
property
bond
first,
for facilities.
So there was 78,000 votes in 2018
right.
total. 78,000
Yeah.
total.
Oh, so you're
2018.
close.
And
to
so
it,
I'm
yeah.
guessing we're going to be 62 this time, which is crazy to think about if we had 43 counted through or 45 counted through the machines by this
There was
morning.
58,000 last year.
That they're going to flow in, but
Yeah,
maybe I'm
and
wrong.
that it sounds right because they said that yesterday's number was several thousand higher than the day before last year. So the 45,000, according to McConnell, was several thousand votes more than the day before the
Actually, no,
election last
there
year.
was 71,000
And they
last
ended
year.
up with-
They counted more at the end. There was 71,000 last year.
Right, and
that
last year
says
or last
2011.
mayoral race?
No, that
Because last year was just an assembly race, right? And so it didn't have
several
the same.
of them, yeah, but
Yeah.
there were several seats.
Yeah, no,
Right,
yeah, half of them. Just about.
cumulative
Yeah.
2020, right?
So the difference between the two bonds,
here we go.
Sabrina, one of them, the folks
Sorry.
who support the library and the senior center asked for and fought effectively to remove their items from the bond and have a separate bond question. And so they had all the money to advocate for their cause. And I certainly won't be supporting dividing them up again in the future. But they made the case and they won. And so it could be that all the other facilities failed, or it could be that they failed. I don't know the
So
answer.
the one that is ahead right now is for libraries and.
I have to.
Okay,
I
that's fine.
have to read it. I don't know off
All
the
right,
top of my head,
that's
one
fine.
or two.
Proposition 3 for area-wide public safety and transit capital improvement, that is passing currently.
Yep.
Proposition 4 for body cam systems is passing.
You know, that one is not just body cams. It's
Again, 10,000 votes.
body cams and
We
yeah.
still have these to talk about, though. That's all we have.
Well, we could talk about a few other
This
things.
reminds me of, this is like deja vu of November.
You
General.
knew we weren't going to have answers tonight.
I thought we were going to have about 70% of the total.
Let's talk about what was different leading up to the election. What were the factors that kind of framed this election up? And you know, landmine is in a very interesting place now. We
Like
have,
physically?
No, that is great, and yes, 100%. But in the context of the media sources that are influencing the election, so it used to be that the landmine was kind of a counterpoint to that blog that I don't like the name.
Please don't.
And so, but now a landmine is actually in the middle between two other parties and has a unique position in the debate and conversation that's happening in our community, because there are kind of voices for the folks who are towards
Super
the
right
edge
and
of
super
the
left.
of the continuum, and then now there's a voice in the middle. And of course, I think two of those sources occasionally make mistakes but do really hard work, and then one of them is based on lies. And
Who's that?
I can show you the lies today.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah, but they posted something
It's a
about
positive show.
about how there was like some kind of a fraud and suppression happening at the library because only the sample ballots didn't have the recall question on them, right? And so they said that's proof that the clerk in the assembly is attempting to thwart that race.
No, well, you should have two sample ballots. This is a
No,
sample
here's the
ballot for
deal.
everybody else.
No,
I think the
here's the
sample
deal.
ballot just has what everybody
The
sees.
citywide ones, there are 177 different ballots in the municipal election, but you couldn't tell that when you read that one source because they said they're not giving you the right ballot. It's like,
Well, you know, here's what I thought when I looked at that, and I thought to myself, you know, you want an informed voter. So if you're going there to vote to recall Felix Rivera, and you get a ballot that doesn't have that on there, and you live in his district, it's on you to make sure you have the right ballot. You know, like, I mean, so for somebody to say, well, I went to vote, but they didn't have the question on there, well, that's on you for not getting the right ballot.
I assure you,
know
though,
what I mean? Like, I mean,
earlier I was
if
talking
you're
to
in District 4,
I assure you they got the right ballot.
and sure, but anybody who said who comes out of there saying, "Well, I was going to vote yes, but I didn't get the right ballot," well, that's on you.
You'd be fighting.
You know,
they'd be
like,
fighting. Give me my
you know,
ballot.
Earlier I was talking to
Exactly,
Andrew, and I
yeah.
said he said we were talking about the race and turnout on the phone before this afternoon, and then I said, he said, well, maybe the reasons why the voting's so low, and we were talking about maybe the COVID and maybe these different factors, and then I said, well, a lot of people I've talked to, friends of mine who aren't political, they didn't even really realize there was a mayoral race. What did you say? Which I agree.
I don't
with.
want them to vote.
Right.
If they don't
mayor's
know
race
after
happening? Oh
all
my
this
God.
time and after the last year, if they don't know that there's a mayor's race, I don't want you to vote.
Right.
You're not informed.
You're not
You know?
helping.
Now, I'm not going to stop you from voting.
Right.
I'm not going to try to stop you from voting. I just don't want you to vote.
Right.
Because you're not informed, and I don't want your dumb vote.
Yeah, if you don't know there's a
canceling out
race,
uninformed vote,
you have no idea who
Because a
to
lot of
elect.
stuff.
There were
if I
15
get to
candidates
something-
on the ballot.
Yeah.
Bad things could happen
if
that
I
way.
get to something on a ballot and I don't know the candidate or I'm not sure about the issue, I just skip it. Rather than voting one way or the other, because I'm like, I don't know enough to vote on that topic. So if you don't know there's a mayor's race, then just sit this one out, okay?
Yeah.
Just sit it out.
I think that's fair. And I think people are exhausted from the last election. The fall, the national cycle was really brutal for a lot of us. And so I think people are just tired. And so I know a lot of individuals who aren't really super voters, but they're friends of mine. They didn't vote. I had to light fires under people's tails. And I don't even know how they voted. I don't care about that. But just getting them to vote.
How many people do you think maybe said there's going to be a runoff?
Right.
So why bother voting this time? I'll just pick from the two that are left standing.
The marquee race.
Right?
I think that's
don't
part of
know
it.
this- they might be like, they don't care about the propositions. They don't care about school board. They only care about mayor. It's going to come down to two people, and then they'll make a decision. And so why bother voting in a 15-person race when you can vote,
Right.
in a 2-person race in a month?
Which is very interesting.
So, Chris, tell us when is that runoff? Race?
May 11th.
May 11th.
Is the day-
That's when it's over. But
It's
the ballots
over.
go
I think May 3rd.
May 3rd,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
because the election has to be certified April 20th.
Yeah, so
So folks, the
For
ballots will
20.
the ballots will go out on May 3rd and need to
Yep.
be back by
What does
May
that
11th.
day mean?
it's a pretty quick turnaround.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick turnaround, but there's only one question, and so
Right.
it should be much easier for people to get this one done.
So will it be like this in the sense that May 11th we'll get some results, but we won't know?
Yeah, anything that came in on the day of the election, it's just simply not possible for them to process those ballots.
Where?
Hold on a second. We have a press release from the city clerk.
Here we go.
Scott, do
Let's-
you want to bring that up?
Do you want to just go ahead and? Okay, yep. No,
Where?
it just popped up in my email
Okay,
here.
yeah, I
It
didn't-
says the clerk's office has received over 45,726 envelopes as of yesterday, and estimate an additional 13,000 were received
Can
today.
we get that on the big screen, Scott?
Although the MOA team scanned approximately 30,000 ballots, only 10,438 ballots were fully adjudicated and counted.
now I can
There
tell
is
why.
certainly more to do, and the elections team will be working daily from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Government hours, processing envelopes and ballots to get results
1 hour
tabulated
lunch.
as soon as possible. The elections team thanks everyone for voting.
So many
Okay,
big words
now I
in
can
there.
describe
Tell
it.
us, Chris.
I can tell you what happened.
Okay.
Now. So the process after the ballots are scanned is that if there's any stray mark or any kind of technological flaw on
If
the
someone
scan,
drew a penis on their
yes,
ballot,
absolutely.
Which I think happened.
Wait,
I didn't do
Only
it.
does.
I didn't do it.
Andrew's like, my ballot wasn't
Wasn't me.
counted.
So
strike
if
through
there's a
font.
stray mark, then a team sits down with every ballot. So it processes, and then the screen, it'll pop up. Every ballot has to be physically reviewed on the screen by two people to make sure that the right mark is counted and not some stray mark is counted. So that is actually a time-sensitive process because it takes two people and it has to be done ballot by ballot. And so that actually makes
Wow.
sense.
I mean, I'm glad because I want this to be a fair and transparent election, but at the same time, they must not have known we were filming tonight.
I don't want. There's a press release. Let's just real quick. So for media release, Barbara Jones, the clerk.
Yep, Andrew
The
just
cle's office has.
read it.
You want to do that again, Andrew? You have a
read
good
it.
voice.
let
Can
me
you use
grab
that voice you
email
used
back
earlier
again.
when we were talking?
The clerk's office has received over 45,726 envelopes as of yesterday, and estimate an additional 13,000 were received today. Although the MOA team scanned approximately 30,000 ballots, only 10,438 ballots were fully adjudicated and counted. There is certainly more to do, and the elections team will be working daily from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., processing envelopes and ballots to get results tabulated as soon as possible.
I mean, I want to say two things. I want to say I'm frustrated with that, but I'm happy they put out that information so we know.
Right.
Because
I tell you what, though, when you compare it to the state, how the state division of elections works until the wee hours, processing and updating results,
they go hard, yeah.
they go hard. And, well, we're going to work 8 to 5. It's only this big election with all these things at stake. We're going to work 8 to 5. We'll get it done when we get it done.
I have to
mean,
work later
that's.
than
I mean,
that, I'm
I
just
think
saying.
that there's one thing. I think that's where I think
Chris is
you would
getting
you'd be
activated.
forgiven for scheduling a little bit of overtime to get results. to
I
people
just
on
would
that.
offer that the folks who have been doing that work for the last 2 weeks are working very, very long days for very many days in a row. And one thing you don't want is to have people working erratically when they're exhausted and tired. And so I believe that within 2 days that we'll have all of these ballots processed through.
I just want to say, and I know this COVID thing has put a wrench in the whole last year in the primary and the general, but it's like I'm 36. For most of my life when I was a kid and up until like 3 years ago, there would be an election and we would just know.
Yeah.
but
Like we would
I
just
know.
know
But
pretty
no,
much.
we've made it easier with mail-in. We've
Like,
made
we
it
would just-
easier to
we
vote.
would
We've
just
made
know.
it less confusing.
We made it easier
now
to
we
vote
don't know.
by
It's
We
voter
don't
no,
know on the
no.
election
It's
night.
it's less confusing now. It's simpler. We're mailing in, and now we don't know who wins on election
easier
night
for
anymore.
the voter. It's just
But I mean, it's
a
like
larger process for the
I feel like there's just not. I don't want to say not trust, but there's just there's more questions now because for a long time, for those of us that are older that have been around and gone through elections, there was an election, whether it was president or your house rep, and you pretty much kind of knew on the election night who, unless it was close, and 2000 Bush Gore, but unless it was anomaly very very close, we kind of knew.
Right.
This last race and obviously the COVID was a factor because of all the stuff going on. We didn't know who won some of these races until like a month, 3 weeks after.
That's not going to happen here.
I think there's a congressional seat in New York that's still not.
No, just this week it settled. She backed out.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, Miller Meeks is the congresswoman from that district now.
Was that the Democrat or the Republican?
The Republican.
Miller Meeks?
Yeah.
No, Miller Meeks was.
Oh, Miller.
Yeah, she's the one who
like,
won.
that's
But
beer
they
and
only
meat.
just now.
Yeah.
There was one in Iowa that it was 6 vote difference. I
Right.
think it was an Iowa congressional seat.
Absolutely.
It was 6 votes that only just recently was sort of settled.
Yeah, and there was some
so
deadline, but in the New York race, the Democrat pulled out finally.
Yes. Chris, you can stay on the panel. We're going to bump you. We have Judy Eldridge, school board candidate,
Do you want to sit
coming on Zoom. You're welcome to just be quiet.
But you have to smile pretty.
Maybe you should take
Wait,
take a walk.
wait, hold on.
No.
Take a
Oh,
look.
he's
he knows where
grabbing
he's
the
going.
alcohol.
Some tequila.
Oh God. Take Chris. Maybe you should take a lap.
Someone is saying to read the comments on
Put
the
that in a
Bronson for mayor,
GCI cup
'cause
where it belongs.
they're all-
Pour that tequila in the GCI mug.
That's what they gave them to us for.
I still can't believe Gran was like, I was
Do we
able to
have
cash
that,
my
Scott?
check at Alaska Fast Cash next door.
Thank you.
Guys, we're going to be having Judy Eldridge, a school board candidate seat.
She is currently
She's-
just trailing behind Kelly
That's one of the
Lessons,
close ones.
who, if we're being honest, has a much better name for a school board seat.
What is that
I
seat?
was sort
F?
of thinking
no.
except that it's misspelled
first
for
one.
it's misspelled for
thank
lessons.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you, Andrew.
Seat
it
one.
might, well, if people aren't seeing the spelling, they might not know that
They
it's
might
spelled
not
with
know.
an E and not an O.
She really missed an opportunity.
was
There
not-
was not a
there is
single
opportunity.
lessons from lessons.
Let me give you a lesson, people.
I don't want our production
Thank
team to
you.
come
And
run
so
out
we
and
do
accuse me of
have
mansplaining.
Eldridge coming on. She is running
Okay.
for school board seat B.
She's coming on in a second here on the. There's Judy Eldridge. There she is. Hello, Judy. Can you hear us?
Hi there, Jeff. Say my name correctly. Eldridge.
I said
Eldridge.
You said Eldridge.
Don't worry, you're not the only name
Judy,
he's
Judy,
been
how long have
butchering
I known
tonight.
you for? I've known you for at least 10 years.
How long you've known me for at least longer than 10 years, probably about 15. You were just a young pup.
I was a young pup. So Judy, you're the former head of the
First time,
Anchorage,
yeah.
former head of the Anchorage Republican Women's Club. You're very active in Republican politics. Now you kind of came in right before I recall, right before the kind of filing deadline, right?
Pretty much, yes. We started in January. I started in January, decided I had it with the things that were going on in the Anchorage School District, and that people have been asking me to run for years, and I wouldn't run and didn't want to run. And I thought, who better than me, because they obviously need some help on that school board.
Now, why did you decide? Was it like your choice, or was it other people kind of encouraging you, or both?
Basically, I've been asked for years to run. This time, I just decided myself, because people were tired of asking me to run. So I decided, what the heck, I'm gonna put my hat in the ring, because I know a lot of people. I most certainly have helped on a lot of campaigns, as you well know. I've never run a campaign, and oh my goodness, Jeff, it's a lot different.
Now we're looking.
And I could be sitting under a tree, just being a grandma. But it's time that grandmas unite and do something, because our school system is bad.
Now we're looking at the initial results, and obviously it's only 10,000 ballots right now, so it's a pretty
Right.
small amount. But you're just less than 300 votes. It looks like behind Kelly Lesson, so it's you and her are the highest vote getters by far in this race.
Right. She would be the union person. She would be the person that the unions are supporting. You can look at the amount of money. She brought $35,000 in coming into the new year. I started in January and I raised almost $50,000. So I thought that was pretty good. And I didn't have any unions donate to me. And don't bother. If I win, I don't want their money either. So I just thought, no.
Oh my, okay.
Now you're a former educator, and you were a principal too, right?
Yes, I've been a principal. I've worked in the Anchorage School District for 16 years. I worked in Barrow as a principal, Glen Allen. Then I worked for the state and low performing schools, worked out in the villages, sleeping on classroom floors, working with low performing schools for the last 20 years. So I know what needs to be done. And 60% of our kids in the Anchorage School District, 4th grade, cannot read at grade level.
So, well, Judy, that touches on what I was going to ask you as far as what do you see as, was there a straw that broke the camel's back, or a certain issue that really pushed you into running? I mean, what did you sort of see as the biggest issue that you would address on the school board if you make it on?
Well, the biggest issue that made me want to run, other than our kids not being able to read, would be our schools being closed for a year. and our children already behind, and Map Sue going to school in person, all of our private schools going to school in person, and my grandchildren in Texas who had a lot more COVID cases than we did going to school, and the Anchorage School District didn't go to school. And I don't think that was
Well,
a
they
decision
did
that
go to
parents
school, they
made. I
just
think that was a
schooled at home.
decision that maybe the unions made. They didn't want their workers to go back to work, and I'm not sure why. I guess because they were getting full pay and benefits.
Sabrina, you had something? Or you?
Well, it's just saying that they didn't
I'm
go
going to say it
schools.
like it is, win or lose. That's what I'm going after.
Judy, I'll
This
tell you,
is
I've known you
not
for a
going to happen
long.
again.
I've known you for a long time, and you do always,
Can't
in
hear
fact, you do always say it like it is, and that's the one thing I do have an affinity for you.
Yeah, I will say it like it is. And our kids were missed a year. And you know what, Jeff? A lot of the upper middle class families, they could afford to move their kids to private school. They hired tutors. But you know what? What about that single mom in Mountain View who had 3 kids? Maybe she doesn't even speak English well. What do you think her kids were doing for a year? And the very kids that we say we care about, we don't.
I
Because
have
if we
to
did,
agree
we
with
wouldn't
that.
have them on
That's
Zoom
not
for a
a
year.
wrong. That's
Because I feel like
not a wrong statement. I mean,
I feel like there's
wealthy people can
there's-
afford to educate, hire tutors, and
I think that we're
There's-
totally undermining the fact that teachers were working over Zoom trying to provide a
My-
good
okay,
my
but-
neighbor's
but-
a
but-
teacher
but-
was
You know
telling me how hard it was.
wait a minute, I've got some parents here. They'll tell you how many hours a week. Lindsay, how many hours a week were your kids on Zoom? Your boys before you moved them out of public schools?
It was optional.
It was optional. Oh, if they wanted to be there, they were. If not, come on, guys. I love teachers. I was a teacher for a lot of years, and they tried. They were put in an impossible situation. But you know what? Those teachers should have been in the classroom where they had to find childcare during the pandemic. They should have been in the classroom doing Zoom all day long, and they were not.
Judy, last thing I want to
They
ask
were
you.
not.
Last thing I want to ask you. We talked about this earlier. There's 7 people on the Anchorage School Board. It's all a citywide race. Do you think there should be districts for if somebody runs in like a district instead of running citywide for the school board?
Absolutely. I absolutely believe that we should follow the assembly districts. It's extremely difficult to raise money for a school board race. It's not a glamorous position. It's not a mayoral race, and it's extremely difficult. And I'm going to tell you, in April, and when you're up against the unions and their person raises $65,000, most of that union money, and you can look at the APOC report and see what it is. None of mine came from union. It came from individuals. And our Anchorage Republican Women's Club, they did give me some money.
Well, I mean, the unions or the Republican, any partisan groups, I mean, they're allowed to give money and support candidates, and that's part of the process.
There's like we're the only Republican group that gets in a nonpartisan race. The Republican Party does not get involved in any nonpartisan races in the municipality. So
Well-
we're pretty much on our own.
Well, Judy, I want to thank you for coming on. I've known you for a long time. We've always
Thank
had a
you.
good,
I've known you, Jeff. And when are you going to run again?
I don't probably not. I
You
can't
really
win. I
disappointed me
can't.
when you didn't run last time, man. I had an IE set up for you.
Did you? I wish I would have known that before.
Yeah, I did. I was waiting.
Wish I would have known that.
Get some dark money.
No one told me, which is good because that would have been against the rules. So.
Well, you're not running, I can tell you now. Hey, take care. Hey, win or lose, it was a great experience, and we have started the conversation, and we're going to fight for what's right for our kids. It is time that parents and grandparents and other people stood up for our kids.
Thank you, Judy. And one day when I'm a parent, I'm going to let you know. It's going to happen. So
Dear
thank you,
God.
Judy.
You know, I mean, that point she makes though about the lack of resources for the certain, lower income families. I mean, it's true. I was watching the NCAA tournament, and they were going to halftime, and they were doing one of their promos or something like that, and they were going to halftime, and they were like, 17 million students don't have what they need to learn remotely. And I'm like, how do we fix that? Maybe we don't have them try to learn remotely. Maybe we put them back in schools. I think she's got a great point there in that the class divide that I'm sorry, but the left pushes class divide as a topic all the time, and yet the lockdown policies have turned that into a canyon between the haves and the have-nots.
I 100%
between the
agree
people,
with you, but for
and-
her to say that kids were not going to school is false. And that
No,
completely belittles the fact that how many hard teachers were trying
Sabrina,
this year.
Sabrina, Frontline, I'm telling you, Frontline did a whole episode, a whole special on these kids who were these poor kids who weren't, They were supposed to go to school. They didn't get on the computer. I mean, it was a whole. They followed like 5
I'm not
lower
saying
income
that
families.
I think it
The
was
kids
a
were
great
not going to
education
school.
this year, but for her to say that they weren't even afforded any type of education is false.
A lot of these kids weren't afforded any type of education because nobody was making
The
sure they go to
attendance
school.
records,
so,
the attendance records for Anchorage School District are pretty dismal during remote learning. They're really bad.
And that's a
when
fair
you
point.
think about setting back these kids a year of education, you could be setting them back generational wealth that you're taking away from them as far as their educational
Chris doesn't like it.
opportunities.
I don't like it either, but
only one with kids.
Kids will
Only one
learn.
with kids.
Kids will use the opportunities in their life to learn, period, full stop. And so we create this crazy framework that says if they're not meeting these benchmarks, they're failing.
But if the kids aren't going to school and the parents and nobody's making because they're working or whatever, and then they
But
go to
you're
the
generalizing.
front line.
That did
Front line
happen,
is
but
not
that
a
also
right-wing
happened-
organization. They covered this in depth, and they found all these kids were not going to school, where nobody was making sure they went to school.
But Jeff,
they
that
were
happens
falling
when
way
there's
behind.
regular in-person school. There are kids
Not-
that don't go to
not
school.
to that level.
And here's the deal. Those kids did learn very important lessons, and their lives will be affected for the rest of their life. Not some spreadsheet and failure to be able to do sums, but to be able to face a resilient, challenging world, the world we actually live in. And so there are a lot of lessons that those kids and every other person learned over the last year. It isn't a zero-sum game.
And what she was saying was completely false in the fact that teachers were trying hard to get the students that were logging on in education.
Well, I'm just saying, my neighbor, it's anecdotal, is a teacher who's been with his school district for 10 years, and he was telling me how difficult it was, how it was the kids, they weren't paying attention, they couldn't make sure, they couldn't run the classroom the way you run a regular classroom.
But you
absolutely
do
He was
agree
telling me
that
it
they
was
were
very,
trying?
first
Can you
graders
agree
on
that they were
He
trying?
was trying, but he said it was very, he told me
And the kids
at
were
length
trying.
about how,
And we
how
put
difficult it
laptops into
was.
kids' houses the best we could. And we put the little Mophie
Exactly, but
hotspots
the
into
best
their
you
houses.
could, though.
But here's the
That's,
reality.
you know.
We were facing a global pandemic. Nobody knew. We could have chosen to shut the bars down so that we could have the schools open. We didn't, right? And that was a reality that was before us.
You guys did shut the bars down
for like
twice.
weeks. For weeks.
For August, for
Not
November,
like the
for
school.
December.
The school district.
As
went
somebody
online
without
for a
kids, I
whole
was
year.
actually hoping the bars wouldn't close, but that's just a different.
Yeah, I mean, that was really the argument that was being made. It's like you have to have one large set of people not gathered.
Guys, we're having this is a great discussion, but we do have a very special guest in studio who's here. So we're going to take a quick break. Chris, I hate to bump you, but
No, it's,
We're gonna take
I'm
a 2 minute break.
happy to be bumped.
We're going to do a quick
I'm happy to be bumped.
2-minute break, 2 to 4 minute
I won't
break.
get to my point, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
This has been a great discussion. This is what we do.
This is what this whole election has been about, is this argument. So I think it's a good topic to go over.
Yeah, and
you
I
know.
think, and we'll see the numbers, but if the voters don't overthrow the assembly, the mayor, and all of these decisions, then that's a sign that we, although we had our challenges, did the best that we could, and the voters see it.
Well, I want to thank you, Assemblymember Christopher Constant, for coming on. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. My co-hosts, Andrew Jensen, Sabrena Combs, our recent guest, Christopher Constant. Take a quick break. Big shout out to our sponsors, GCI, Dittman Research, and Blueprint Alaska. We'll be right back with a very special guest. And folks, we are back, joined in studio here by Assembly Member and mayoral candidate Forrest Dunbar. Hello, Forrest.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Leading mayoral candidate.
Now we're going to hit the results up here. Now, we have the press release from the clerk. They've only tabulated about 10,000 ballots. They've collected, is it over 35,000?
They said they've collected 45,762 or 726. Okay, that's what they've received as of yesterday. It says they estimate an additional 13,000 were received today. Now, what I'm a little bit confused about now is if that refers to in person as well, because it says 45,000 envelopes and an estimated initial 13,000 were received today.
I think it's
that
envelopes,
doesn't really
So
that doesn't really quantify what the in-person vote may be today. That is the in-person. The 13,000 includes in-person today.
But there's 30.
Estimated.
How many were?
They've scanned about 30,000, but only 10,000 were fully adjudicated and counted.
So with that,
that's
Isn't that a
the
fun
deal.
word?
with that adjudicated, with that, Forrest Dunbar, you're winning with the 10,000.
Did you know that?
Did you? Are we telling you that, or did someone tell you that?
No, I did know that, yes.
The first thing I want to ask you is your recent campaign ad featured this one from Palmer. I mean,
Yeah.
was that by design, or I got to ask you about?
We just asked folks if we could use their vaccine selfies, and Sabrena was nice enough to say yes. So very much appreciate that.
Thanks. I kind of thought there'd be like more people. But thank you. I am a supporter, so there you go.
So obviously you're in the assembly. You run for Congress, and you've been in the assembly 2 terms, right? Second term.
Yes, I'm in my second term now.
You filed to run for mayor. There's kind of 3. You could probably classify progressive candidates and 3 classify conservatives. You've raised by far the most money. I mean, almost $400,000. Why you think you've raised so much? And then talk about this campaign a little bit and kind of why you think, for now, with these initial results, you're leading.
Part of it is that I got in the earliest, and so I've been fundraising the longest. But a lot of it is just I hired a good team and folks, one of them whom is with us here,
Hi.
Claire, but a number of folks that have helped me to do that. And, it's been through events and call time. It's not really rocket science. Everybody knows how to fundraise, but it's just I've had good people working with me.
The assembly in the last year has kind of come under fire. The COVID stuff and all these things, the recall of Felix Rivera, which is now he's beating. Did you feel like this election might have been a referendum on you because you're on the assembly?
Maybe in part. I think that it's just been a really interesting and in some ways confusing year, and we've gone through all these different stages. And had this election been held 3 months ago, the results might be significantly different. But now that the vaccine is coming around and people are feeling more hopeful and things are getting more open, I think that, people might be feeling different. So I don't know. I think it's hard to say. I mean, if you add up the conservatives here and you add up the progressives here, they're pretty neck and neck, right? So it's hard to say this is sort of a referendum on anything, at least not yet.
Sabrena?
Nope, sorry.
Got sound down there.
Sorry.
You wanna-
My apologies.
You guys have anything? Who wants to go?
Andrew.
Well,
does.
you brought up fundraising. Who's in charge of recruiting 1630 Group and some of the outside money that came in to support you?
I don't know what 1630 Group is.
Aren't they contributing to your campaign? San Francisco groups.
No.
Is it an independent
whatnot.
group?
There's
Getting wild nods
there's
of negative.
the Alaska Center. No, I mean there's a lot of outside money outside of Anchorage money.
Oh, you're talking about
that
the
came
independent
in.
expenditures?
Yes.
I totally unrelated. I don't coordinate with them. I don't know where they get their money. I don't know what they do. And I mean, we do that research on others. So we know that, that, for example, Bronson's IE is headquartered in Ohio. We know that. And, they will probably dump a bunch of money in the coming weeks. We know that happens, but we don't coordinate with them. And so I don't know. Like, I literally don't know. Also because I don't read Must Read Alaska.
Right.
So
Well, I mean, it's just screen caps.
Hey, I gotta ask you,
It's screen caps of APOC reports.
The
is all.
picture
That's
of
all.
you and
Yeah.
the flag that she always uses. I mean, it's just that's the go-to one, right?
It really
That's-
is.
There's nothing else.
Yeah, and so I mean, I see the headlines. I have to admit that I see the headlines. I see the picture,
Don't
but
give
I
her
don't
those
click
clicks.
on the link.
Don't you give her those clicks.
And so I see that she uses that picture.
I read
of
it
me a lot,
sometimes.
but yeah, it's fine.
So going into a runoff, what's your strategy for a runoff campaign?
Well, I think we're going to be pretty consistent in our messaging, and again, I think it's going to be a pretty close race. I know some folks think that Bronson is at a disadvantage, but I don't see that. I think he's got a strong ground game. He's got a lot of fired up volunteers. I think for us, it's just going to be getting our message out there, telling a positive story, doing a contrast between sort of my experience and his, my vision and his, you know, I don't think that there is any secret sauce. I think we're just going to have to put in the work over the next 4 weeks.
No, I mean, as Andrew said, there has been outside groups, like third-party groups supporting you, and then the other side, the Bronson, they've all kind of had outside.
And Robbins too.
Robbins.
I think that that strange ad with the NBA player, I think that was an IE.
That was
I did see that
so
one.
Who was
weird.
that? Remember that guy?
I've seen that. I haven't seen that.
Can we pull that up? Oh my God.
NBA
that
player?
was on YouTube. I forget the guy's name. It was like a pretty decent basketball player in the 90s.
Thank you. Yeah.
If
that
we could
was
find that.
Super weird.
It's being efforted.
I saw it one time it was served to me on YouTube, and what was that guy's name? Big guy.
I
It's
actually
okay.
don't remember his
I
name.
literally didn't know who he was.
He's like a point guard. I was like, I knew him from like watching basketball in the 90s, and I was like,
I didn't.
he was on the park strip in the snow, and he was like,
It was
he was
just
like, yo,
strange.
Forrest Dunbar, weak.
It was very
was
Yeah, I
really
know. I've
weird.
never.
It wasn't Dikembe, was
So
it? Oh, that's the
no,
guy.
No.
So
No,
Forrest,
I
you talk
did a tweet
about
about it.
promoting
not
a
on
positive
Twitter.
message. Do you think that if you're elected mayor, that's going to be your biggest hurdle, is overcoming that negative rhetoric that's surrounding the assembly right now?
I think that'll be part of it. I think that the biggest impediment for the coming mayor, regardless of who it is, are the sort of fallout from the pandemic. So, for example, we have 400 people right now, tonight, sleeping at the Sullivan Mass Shelter, right? And whoever the mayor is needs to find a way to close that facility, to transition it back into what it was intended to be. So I think there are some really pressing concerns for the next mayor. But you're right. I mean, I think my assembly colleagues would agree that we want to change the feeling in that room during assembly meetings. And I think that will happen. And I'm hopeful that, you know, as the pandemic ends, I'm hopeful that everybody, the kind of temperature can come down in the room for everybody. But again, I think the real challenge for the incoming mayor is going to be those sort of nuts and bolts issues, the fallout, the economic damage, and the other fallout from the pandemic.
I did find the video. I sent it to Scott. So if we can maybe just key up that. It's a 30-second. It's really bizarre. I tell you what. I mean, this is crazy.
Now that the polls are closed, I guess we can.
I mean, I think we should show
it's
it.
okay to
I tell you
run
what.
it,
It's
right?
like
I don't.
you watch basketball, right? You
Yeah,
NCAA.
no,
But
I'm
he
a
does
huge
have
NBA fan.
KTU waiting in the
Well,
parking
the
lot.
polls aren't closing because there's going to be a runoff.
Guys, let's watch. Cue up this.
Is there
Can we hear
audio?
this?
That's okay.
We can't see we
feel
can't see the
like
audio,
this
right?
is just. We do not support this.
I only caught.
No, we're just showing this video.
Yeah, I only caught a glimpse of the player. So
Hold
I'm
on.
not quite sure
Where's,
who he was.
there he is. What's his name? I forget his name. What is it?
Oh, Jihadi White.
Jihadi White, Jihadi White,
Oh, he
yes.
played at Georgetown, I think.
Maybe he has.
He
like
did
a
this like
house.
attack piece on you from the parks. He doesn't even live here. He lives in Detroit, I think.
It's very strange. He also, the specific attack was that the assembly had closed down the court
you, Scott.
system, which of course we have no control over. So it was.
Jihadi White. Yep. There we
Yeah,
go. Yeah.
I remember watching that guy when I was a kid.
I think he played.
I grew up.
No, I think
Scott,
he
your
played
mic.
at Georgetown. I might be wrong on that.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to
It's just
fact check
weird.
on
We
that.
can
I
stop playing it.
I
It's
don't know. I
cool.
think it's actually just funny. It's, like bizarre. It's actually bizarre.
I do think, I think the court system issue, I mean, that is interesting. I mean, and I realize that's not an assembly issue, but I've been surprised in that if I'm a defense lawyer, I mean, right to speedy trial. I mean, where you've got people who have been languishing without jury trials this whole time,
You're a
I think
lawyer.
is a huge issue that I think is long past due to be addressed. Because I mean, when you talk about, people talk about their constitutional rights all the time. I think that's a clear constitutional issue, that you have a right to a speedy trial. And I think that not having jury trials, not having where a court finally told that you have to allow lawyers to visit their clients. I mean, that's a basic constitutional right that should never have been suspended, a pandemic or not, that should never have been suspended. I mean, I've been in those courtrooms. I've served on 2 juries, and the courtrooms are huge. You could have spread out a jury in there and done jury trials. And so if I was somebody who was in jail with no bail or something like that for a year, I would be super pissed off. And if I was a defense lawyer, I'd be super pissed off. And I'm surprised it's taken this long to finally get to a point where it's been adjudicated. Like, no, you can visit your client in jail.
You've been on 2 juries?
Yeah.
I've never
I'm
heard
No,
of
they
36.
love
jury
journalists.
duty.
I'm
If it's
36.
some low-profile
Never.
civil trial.
I'm 36. If the people who do this are watching, I've never even got the notice from
Me
anybody.
either.
Please send me the damn. I want to do it.
I've
okay?
been juror number 1 and
you got
juror number
it?
2. They find out you're a reporter.
So anyway,
they watch you on the jury.
We only have Forrest for a couple more
have
seconds
They-
here.
Have you ever got a jury duty notice?
I have, and I did the thing where you like go and on standby, and then they like never called me.
Yeah.
So I've never
Okay.
actually been.
I've
on
had
the
to do
jury.
it twice.
you're honest.
So
face.
Andrew touched on this, but I want to ask. I mean, you raise a lot. Bronson raised quite a bit. If it is in fact, if that does happen, if it's a runoff with you and Bronson, I mean, there's about a month, I guess, to raise money. I mean, how much? I know you've spent a lot of your money. All you guys have. How much do you anticipate having another big push to raise the money? Because that's a very short period of time to get out there and a heads up campaign, right? for
Yeah,
the-
I think practically speaking, you have to get your message out and you have to do GOTV. It's all 5 weeks. That takes money. And so I think both me and him, if it ends up being the two of us, after all the other votes are counted, I think we will both be sprinting and trying to get donations. Absolutely.
I've looked at these numbers pretty close, and I mean, between all 6 of the people, all 6 candidates that have raised money, it's over $1.3 million combined.
Wow.
So I wonder how much will come in the last month for the runoff. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, these races continue to get more and more expensive, as we go on.
If there was a runoff and you were to win, what happens to your seat?
There is a process to fill it. There's a temporary appointment, and then there is an election to fill it permanently, or for the remainder. I guess then it would be up again in 2022, so it would be a pretty short term. It's sort of like when Assemblymember Steele had to step down, and Austin ran for that. So first we appointed Ira Perman for I think it was 6 weeks or so, maybe even less, and then she ran. And so that's what will happen in that case too. And it's appointed by the Assembly. The mayor has no role.
If it were to go not well, you're still on the Assembly. That might get kind of.
So how does that work?
awkward.
How's your relationship with the mayor that isn't you if you are not the one that wins?
Well, if it's David Bronson, he has an ad saying that the people on the Assembly are idiots. So I don't think.
I heard it on the way. I heard it on the way over here.
Yeah, I've
I
heard it
literally
as well.
heard it in the car on the way over here. It says the Assembly are a bunch of idiots.
So what do you
Yes.
think about that?
I think it's going to make it very difficult for him to get anything past the Assembly. I mean, look, he's on record multiple times this year saying that we are, corrupt, or we're misspending the CARES Act money, or we're being dictatorial. Him and his surrogates have called us all kinds of names, and he ran an ad saying that we're idiots. I mean, it is beneath the dignity of the office of mayor.
Absolutely.
Well, I think whatever happens, I think there will be a runoff, and it will be very, interesting to see and observe for all of us. And then the new mayor, we're still looking at July 1. Is that still the way it goes?
Yeah, and they there was an attempt to pass an ordinance to make it the new mayor sworn in earlier.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that they didn't. I'm glad that you have until July 1st, because whoever it is needs to work with the current acting mayor to have a transition. I mean, you want to have a month and a half to transition and have conversation about personnel. And we have some really pressing issues. We need a new fire chief. We need a new police chief. I mean, there are some real
Jody
personnel
Hedrick,
issues.
I'm a big fan of her.
She's great.
Did a
She was
podcast
great.
with her. She was good.
She's awesome. And it's
Fire-
a real
fire chief.
real blow to the city that we're losing her, and Chief Dahl as well. And both of them have decided to retire after really, really distinguished public service careers, and so we're going to be looking for new folks. And that'll be one of the primary focuses, I think, of the transition.
Well, Forrest Dunbar, Assembly member from Anchorage, I really appreciate you coming in studio. What do you think? I mean, just your.
Well, this is impressive. This is when I pulled up here. There were 2 buildings. One
you
was
thought
like
Fast Cash
Fast
Alaska.
Cash, and I was like, no.
That's where I thought I was going. That's where I was going.
Jason Gren came on. He's like, it was great. I was able to cash my check and get a quick payday loan.
And get a couple DVDs in the process.
Yeah, but no, this is nice. And you have some Maker's Mark over there, and
We do at Fireball. Help yourself.
I'm
on your
okay
way,
tonight. but-
You're good to go.
Forrest, thanks.
One more question though. If you're on the Assembly now, but if you do become mayor, you're in the National Guard. I mean, is
Yeah.
that kind of the same deal with your
You mean so? I
your
could-
relationship with the Guard and being elected official? Does that change if you're mayor or no?
Doesn't have to. I haven't decided sort of exactly what I'm going to do. I could remain in the Guard, or I could resign my commission. I've already completed my term of service, so I can resign my commission at any time. But if it works out, I would like to stay in the Guard. And a lot of elected officials around the country do serve in the reserves of the Guard while still being elected officials. So
Yeah, relevant.
I'd like to if I could.
Senator Sullivan.
Senator
Colonel
Sullivan.
He has to
Sullivan.
go do regular training.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Forrest, thank you for coming.
very happy to have
Yeah.
you on.
Thank you. This is great. This is quite the setup.
Well,
And you're like the only game in town tonight too, right?
We do.
Nobody else
We
does it.
have
can.
been, like every single election.
Yeah. Wait, what happened to this? I remember the first time. Weren't there these like kind of like Ghostbuster uniforms? Weren't there like these like onesies?
They were.
No,
They were.
they were
working
actually-
man suits.
They were our coverall, landmine coveralls. That was
Coveralls.
2018, and ADN.
Our sponsor said no.
Co-hosted with us, and afterwards we had like a kind of a debrief post-mortem, and they were like, "We're gonna keep doing it with the general, but can you guys please not wear the garbage suits because we got calls about that."
I thought they were cool. I don't know.
We still have them. And I still fit in
Like
mine.
you
It's
guys
amazing.
partnered with
They
the
would match
landmine.
Forrest's Carhartt jacket.
What did you expect? You know, like, he partnered with Jeff.
I think it was
Landfield.
like,
The guy
yeah,
who,
we'll do that.
like,
It was fine. It was
the guy
fine.
posts Facebooks in his Speedo. Like,
Yeah,
No
why
one
not?
checked.
you think he's gonna, you know, like, care what he's wearing on
All right.
Election Central?
Thank
All right.
you.
Well, let's go. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank
I know
you
you
for
have
being
some
here.
important folks waiting outside, but thanks for coming in.
We
so.
appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
stopping in.
Folks, we're gonna just do a quick break, and then we're gonna do a recap. Let's get Forrest. Sorry about the.
Do we have to do a
Is he
break?
off camera?
Do we have to do a break? We don't need to do it. We just had a break.
No, there he is. There he is. No, are we gonna do a break? Or are we good?
I think we're
Okay.
good. We have a guest that's been waiting for a very long time.
Let's
Yeah.
tee up let's tee up Ryan
And
McKee.
he's drinking all of our booze, so we have to get him out of here before that happens.
We moved our setup, so
Yes, there was no one.
I'm
wants
very
to
close to Sabrina. Not very close to.
We've
I'm
been
trying
the
to get.
same. It's just the guest seat moved. Mr. McKee, if
Thank
you
you,
wouldn't mind taking
Forrest
a seat.
Dunbar
Thank you
and
very much.
Assemblymember Constant. Hey,
Thank
there's
you,
two
Claire.
assembly members there. So
Bye.
there they go.
Not 3. Open Meetings Act intact.
No, I don't even. Oh wow. You know the legislature's exempt from that. They can do whatever they want.
But there's a resolution right now, or in the
Bill.
House, or bill.
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably not going to pass.
Sorry. Thank you.
Probably not going to pass.
Bill.
No, it's a bill. It's
I know.
SB. I
Corrected me.
think 76.
Let's
Right.
introduce our guest.
I got my
getting
GCI cup. We're ready to go.
I'm getting
you.
scolded by the producer. Ryan, how's your glass?
You know you're not supposed to say that.
Half full.
No, I mean, what's in the?
Half full.
How's,
Wow, he's
GCI?
fast, guys.
Anchorage Young Republicans, current Americans for Prosperity. Anything else I should?
No,
Are
that's
you the
it.
former president because you aged out, or what?
Oh.
Age out.
I don't know how
It's
that
under
works.
40.
I'm part of the Republican Party. I don't age out till I'm 65. All right.
Bless your heart.
That's when you age in.
Yeah.
65, you age.
That's when the benefits kick in. You're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can run for office. It's great. You know?
So glad to have you in studio. Now, has Americans for Prosperity has not weighed in yet in this
Not yet.
election?
No,
have they?
we've stayed out of it.
You
we
guys do
haven't-
have like a political
Do you
arm.
deal with municipal elections?
It depends. So we've got a new PAC, Americans for Prosperity Action Alaska.
Shocking.
It's a lot. Yeah.
AFPAA. AFPA.
So we are starting to get a little bit more involved in local elections, in House races, and there's a need for it. And
Is there?
oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
Hey, Citizens United, baby.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I know. Yeah.
Just curious.
I mean, Judy was talking about
We're
the unions,
people
right?
too.
So-
Come on.
I agree.
Judy was talking about the unions, right?
I mean, that's true. I mean, I think that is, certainly the pandemic has become, it is a national issue. I mean, you look at state by state and jurisdiction by jurisdiction, you're seeing different policies being implemented. And we were talking about in-person learning. I mean, Florida has in-person learning since August. Texas has had in-person learning. There's states that never closed their schools that are not seeing some apocalypse going on.
Russia has been doing in person for pretty much the whole time.
And
Valley
so,
has been doing in-person all
the
year.
thing is, when you have an election like this one that is totally revolving around COVID response. I mean, I think the recall is about the COVID response. The opposition to the assembly members like Dunbar or a member of the administration like Bill Falsey. It revolves around the COVID response. I mean, I don't think that if in a normal year, in a normal, whatever, an outgoing Berkowitz and someone like Forrest ready to, take the helm, he'd probably walk away with it. But I think you're seeing this around the country, so I don't think it's surprising that there's outside money coming in to support Forrest Dunbar. There's outside money coming in to support Dave Bronson because these are the fronts of the political fights right now. And so I don't, it's happening. And so as long as it's recognized that both sides are drawing that, because these are important national policies, and whether kids are in school is an important question. Whether you can have freedom of movement, freedom of an economy, those are important questions that need to be resolved. And so, and I think a lot of people have a stake in that. And so there's not really, I don't think anything wrong with other people being involved.
Well, and if you look at how the Valley handled it, with schools, I mean, they had in-person learning, but if somebody got COVID, they shut the schools down, and that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. If somebody catches it, they have everyone stay at home for a couple days, they sanitize the schools. And then they bring, I don't know if they tested the teachers or whatever they did. The numbers in the schools were actually pretty low. And so I think there's a way to do it. And yeah, you have to be careful, you have to be safe. There's teachers, students, there's a lot of people, who are working there that could be exposed. And so I think the Valley did a good job at doing that. And I think, the way they handled it, if their school, again, they closed down, made sure everything was safe and brought them back. I think the issue in Anchorage was that they just shut everything down and said, all right, we're good.
Right.
Meanwhile, private schools were still open.
Right.
Daycare
centers were open.
Yeah, and I think that's
like-
the issue most people have is that there wasn't a mandate that just said, okay, everyone's gonna stay home. I don't care if you're Costco or if you're a small business, everyone's gonna stay home. They didn't do that. They said, okay, you can go to Costco, but you can't go to a small business. You can fly, but there were so many different things. It wasn't consistent, and so I think a lot of people were saying, okay, well, if I can't go to school, but I can go to Costco.
Ryan, I want to go to a quick picture of you. Scott, cue up that picture. What is that? I found that on the internet. What year was that? 2009?
That was
a
2009.
young Ryan McKee and a young Dan Sullivan. Look at that. What year was it? 2009?
Fantastic.
Platinum Jacks.
Platinum. Did you take this photo?
Wow.
No, he shared it as a memory.
Oh, that's
Should have
amazing.
never done that. Yeah, that was my
Look
first.
at your double polo.
Look at he's
Double
double. Is he? Are you double pop collared?
No, he's not.
No,
double
there's a
polling now.
T-shirt under there. That was my first entry, and I have to actually. The funny story is the person who actually really got me into local politics.
Look at that polo. That's a double.
And she
No,
Is
immediately
that a
regrets
puka shell
it.
necklace?
No.
I'm so impressed.
Is that a puka shell necklace?
It's getting loose.
The person who actually really got me into local politics was Ethan Berkowitz's wife, Mara Kimmel. She
Yeah,
was
yeah.
my favorite.
She's a great person to get people in.
She was my favorite political science teacher. She, she was
So
very fair.
knowledgeable.
And the thing was that she was really fair. You could be a Republican, Democrat. She didn't care. She was very. Then I took an English class with Jeff Landfield, and we realized that's not the case in the English department.
No, I actually remember that guy Mark Dudick. I think was his name, right?
He had the feather earring.
He is
and I
not
was
like me.
for all the people that give Jeff a hard time and talk about him, whenever we were late into class, which was apparently often, he would always say, "Oh, nice of the two Republicans to show up."
I actually had to. That's a different story. He gave me. I earned a B, but he gave me a D. It's true, and he would not.
attendance?
Yeah, he would
On
not.
attendance?
No, he would. No.
Much like
all
government
my-
budgets, they didn't make sense.
no, seriously.
His grading system did not make sense at all.
I saved it on the blackboard. All my grades, I earned a B. It was technical writing. He ended up giving me a D. What ghosted me? Would not respond to me. Would not.
That happens a
answer-
lot. That happens a lot to Jeff, but in this case,
He's used to it.
He invented that term?
he cleared the blackboard. I had everything saved. I appealed it. I went to the
Oh my goodness.
what's it called? The not the-
Board of Regents.
No, the person who runs the department.
Jeff's litigious.
He
You know
is.
this.
I went to the head of the department. I
Was Lee
explained
Baxter
it.
on your side?
I didn't know Lee Baxter. Right?
no, he didn't know. Lee wasn't there.
This
he
is
had
like
to do this all on
2008.
his own.
No,
If only
seriously.
you
So
had had Lee.
long story short, I went to them. They said, "Well, we don't ever. You can't challenge grades. There's a process to challenge grades, but you have to have proof." I showed the proof. We went to an appeal board with we went to the whole thing. He finally responded. We had a review panel with the chancellor and the dean, all that stuff.
He won.
Changed my grade.
He changed.
One of they ordered him to change the grade. This is like 2008.
You won.
Yeah, because I used to always talk about. He used to always rag on Bush every day. Remember that?
Yep.
Every day he was like, "Fuck George Bush, fuck President Bush," and I'd be like, "He's not a terrorist." Because one time he said he's like Al Qaeda, and I go, "No, he's not. That's not fair." And he gave me a D when I earned a B. I challenged it. I won. It took about 6 months. How about that, folks who come
What
at me?
grade did you get, Ryan?
That was
Well, I
the
should have
beginning,
got a
folks.
B.
That
I
was
got
the
an
beginning.
84.4.
I got like an
but
86.
the grading scale was if
On
you
a curve.
No, they didn't do that. I wish they did a curve. I'd have gotten so many.
Yeah, no,
high
I got
grades.
like an 82, but,
what'd you get?
but that's
anything in 85 or below, according to him, was a C. But you signed that damn syllabus, and they're like, "Well, you signed it.
the
That's
syllabus.
that and student loans. You got to."
yeah. So if anybody
But look where you are now. You should go back and rub
I'm
it
on
in
the
his
Alaska
face.
landmine.
That was
so
like an
I'm
old
doing
school
pretty well.
Look at us. The people who want to come at me, I'm pretty middle of the road, but I don't stand for that kind of bullshit.
Oh my. Look at how you can hold a grudge.
Mark Dudick, I'll never forget that guy. Professor. Yeah.
So for the governor, if you want to cut the budget, there's a certain UA
Just
English
one
teacher.
class.
I don't even. I
We
bet
want-
you.
Line item veto.
Line item vetoes
I
are a
bet you that
thing.
guy's not even in the state. I mean,
Just
we
don't
should-
put a signing statement on it this time. Just don't do that.
We should look him up.
Just
So Ryan, I saw you nodding over there earlier when we were talking about before we used to kind of like pretty much know who won on the election night. It seems like in the last several years we don't know anymore.
So I find this hilarious, especially because some local councilwomen out in the valley, when we moved the election. We're like, this is simple. We'll just have everyone vote on the same day as the general election. And the valley's like, oh my gosh, no, it's too confusing. They're gonna have 3 pages of votes they're gonna have to figure out. It passed, thankfully. And then they come out like, but
ranked choice voting, open primaries, all this, you're going to vote for one, then you're going to vote for two, then we're going to add the two to the one. Somehow that's not confusing to voters. But voting on the same election and just voting for everybody at the same time.
Are you talking about the borough?
Yeah, the borough election. They were like, we can't do
Because the
borough
city
with
election
the
on which
House.
I serve is still October.
I know, and you had 3% turnout or whatever it was. It was
It's
pretty low. We had 33% turnout for
14%.
the other.
That's all right.
But our solution to it wasn't all mail-in voting. It wasn't ranked choice. It was just do it on the same day so people can vote for everybody at the same time. And we moved our turnout from, I don't know, it was like 13, 15% to about 33.
I mean, I'm not like opposed to moving into the November, but my issue is like in a governor's race and a Senate race and legislative races, how does a local candidate get through? Media-wise.
So it's different in Anchorage because they have their elections in April. So I think there's a different argument. For us, it was in October. So you got to be right between the primary and the general.
Yeah.
And we're like, good luck. Ad space is already taken up. I mean, Forrest kind of talked about it. The candidates are, and they spend their money wisely. They spent their money in the runoff. And he's already pre-bought a lot of ad space and all that. And so like the general elections coming up, a lot of the candidates couldn't afford these really expensive ad buys, and all the Senate race, governors, they would buy up all the space and everything. And so all of a sudden you have an assembly race, and out in the valley, $40,000, $50,000 is all they're raising. I mean, it's not big money, and when you have to buy 100,000.
I mean, Sabrena, you raised less than the amount to report, right?
Correct.
I tried to get her to raise some cash so we could run a.
It looks like
she could run.
I didn't need to though.
Yeah, but I was like, let's get some money in this race.
We will when I run.
Now your dad is or was on the borough assembly.
Yep, he's finished up his last term, and actually, so he's termed out this year. And so my mom actually filed her letter of intent.
Oh.
And she's
yep, the old switcheroo, classic switcheroo.
The Combs family has a history.
Her aunt was on the assembly.
Yep,
was on the council after her husband was the mayor.
Mm-hmm. You guys in the valley, are you back in Anchorage now?
There's only so many people.
Yeah, and that's why I'm against term limits. It's already hard enough to find good quality candidates. If you have to do it every 4 years or so, we're in a lot bigger trouble than we already are.
Last, I want to go back, throw back one more time. Last story. When you brought Karl Rove up here, what year was that?
2011.
I was involved in that one. Were you? I mean, I was like there. I attended it. We remember there was a planning. You guys brought the DC people up, and that one guy, he lost all that weight. Remember him?
Alex
Shriver. He came here large.
Yeah.
Years later, I saw him on Facebook, very thin.
He was trending at one moment. It was a hashtag skinny Shriver.
He actually looked emaciated.
He did great, yeah.
He looked emaciated. He looked sickly, but he looked good. But also emaciated.
Though the best part about that was during the Occupy Wall Street. And my thing was before I graduated from college, I wanted to throw some event where I got protesters. And we only had a few, and I wasn't happy.
There was like 7 people with like Occupy signs at the.
Well, no, that was the best part. They were on the other side of the street, still over on Fifth Avenue, and we actually went over. We're like, you guys realize Karl Rove is like right over there. And then they picked up their camp. They moved. I'm like, all right, I got.
And then one of them
I can graduate college now.
One of them asked me.
One of them asked
me
if yeah, I was like, we're good. We're good.
One of them was like, could I meet Karl Rove? And I was like, I don't.
He went out and took a selfie.
Did you? So you met him?
He spoke at this thing. I mean, I said hi to him.
Okay. I've never seen a photo of you. You're like the king of selfies with people.
I mean, this was 2011. It was like pre-selfie. Was that selfies back then?
10 years ago?
iPhone 1 or 2.
T9 phone. Jeff still had a T9.
I had a Razor.
I think he was using a BlackBerry. I had a Razor.
Judged him a little bit.
Ryan, you have several fans on our Facebook feed right now that think I'm being mean to you. So I hope that everyone knows it's playful banter.
Why are you being mean to? You guys are Valley people.
We're both Valley people.
Hashtag Valley friends.
We are on opposite
I have to remind her
sides
every
of the
now and then. I'll
spectrum.
see her out there, and she's like, "The Valley's great." I'm like, "I know. I moved out here.
No.
I bought a place." As soon as the market
that's where all the concerts have moved to this summer.
You guys are
going to get some treats.
Is there going to be a fair?
There's going to be a 14-day fair, not just a fair, but an extended fair.
We're doubling down.
Yeah, we've extended it another weekend.
God.
But not only that, I mean, and I'm not going to say one way or the other if it's, about as far as COVID goes and these supposed super spreader events, but the Valley has benefited from the closures in Anchorage. The Alaska Airmen Show is moving out to the Valley. It'll be in May 7th through the 9th. That's the event that's at the FedEx Center that brings $3 million in revenue.
Oh,
to
yeah,
Anchorage.
that's a big one. Yeah.
That's coming to Palmer. Rodeo Alaska is holding the first PBR event in Alaska.
Are you kind of like just like rubbing in my face like
no,
you're taking Anchorage money?
I'm just telling you that these are things that are happening in the Valley, and aside from the fact, you ask people in Anchorage, have you ever been to Palmer? And they say, oh yeah, I've been to the fair. Yeah. But
I drove through there one time and there was a stoplight. I was like, wow.
Okay. But we've
got 2 stoplights now, Jeff.
We have 5. We have 5. But I honestly, people
if
come
you
out.
know how many stoplights the town has, you might be from a small town.
No, they've been coming out, and
Jeff,
they
you
see
have to
that it's
come
open.
join a borough assembly meeting out there.
Oh God.
Because it's funny. Like, unlike the Anchorage Assembly is fairly lockstep. You've got your progressives, you've got your 1.5 conservatives. It changes, but out there, everyone's actually pretty mixed. You've got
it's a very mixed community.
They all kind of get along sometimes, and they argue sometimes. You'll have some conservatives teaming up with progressives, or I don't think we have progressives on the assembly. We have Democrats, but they all work together.
Who's the guy?
A classic Democrat.
They actually work pretty well together.
Well, I mean, like Rob Yunt is on the assembly. Yeah. He's one of our newly elected.
That
people
guy
on the
is
assembly.
jacked.
He is jacked, but he's pretty far left. I mean, as far as politics go, and
far
he
right.
and Stephanie Nowers, he's far right, yeah, and Stephanie Nowers, who's left, they have been creating some amazing legislation. So
and the mayor's done a real good job. The mayor leans left a little bit, but he's really
very middle.
It's a lot different out there.
Who's the guy that shot the guy in the back? Ole,
that's on the school board.
Oh, school board.
Ole
Now this guy
Larson.
shot a guy in the back.
Not even on his own property.
He wasn't actually on the
He's
board.
actually
no, he was.
on the board.
He's
still is.
And he got off clean.
He's still on the school board.
He shot a guy. Was it the back?
In the back.
Because he was on. I think he was. Shouldn't have been there, but still.
It was a guy.
Shot
Oh, he used the Happy Gilmore defense? Yeah. He shouldn't have been standing there.
Pretty much.
No.
Crime levels in the valley are very low.
Ole Larson, right?
Ole Larson.
There.
Shot a guy. Still on the school board.
Still on school board.
Hey, that's
Bless his
Alaska. Right
Bless
there.
his heart. But you got to come out. It's great. But on that, what made me think of that was that every school or every assembly meeting, they always start out, either Jesse or Rob, with, "We'd like to thank Anchorage for moving all of their business out here."
Really?
They do every assembly.
Oh my God, I have not heard that. Really?
Oh, you got so
I need to come out
when
there.
you have
I'm not
candidates,
surprised.
when you have candidates like
online.
Forrest, that's my biggest question: is you guys have a supermajority, you can do whatever you want. What is going to change? If Forrest is mayor, what difference does that make? He has all these plans. Why isn't he doing it now? There's literally nothing
But I also see that with Bronson, like if Bronson wins, he has to understand that he needs the
agree.
support of the assembly to make these changes. Like
I'll
no
tell you what, though,
mayor is
you know
going to
he-
come in and be like, I'm going to fix this. No, you're not.
but-
You need these people.
He doesn't need the assembly to lift EOs. That's thoroughly within the mayor's power. He can absolutely lift EOs. He can absolutely loosen up EOs. He can loosen capacity restrictions. He can loosen distancing requirements. He can loosen capacity. He can tell his economic development director to issue permits. I mean, we're talking about we might not have Forest Fair. We might not have the Blueberry Festival. We might not have
ABL. We might not have baseball.
And that's all because of Anchorage, right? I mean,
And you do
that's
baseball.
all within the mayor and the administration's power. So there is things he can do with no regard to the assembly. What are they going to do? They're going to come here and override him and ban baseball. They're going to come over and override his permit to the Forest Fair. Yeah. I mean, like that's the thing. Bronson has the ability to do a lot of things because what we've seen over the last year is the assembly has invested a tremendous amount of power into the mayor's office, and so he can walk in on day one as mayor and say, "Oh, this 6 feet between tables at every business, regardless of size, that's lifted. This limit on gatherings, that's lifted. You want a permit to do an outdoor concert? Yep, we're going to give it to you.
Lifted.
I mean, those are the things that a mayor can do, and it doesn't have anything to do with the assembly. I mean, Bronson doesn't come in. I don't think he has any desire to come in and try to push some sort of social conservative agenda that obviously can't go through the assembly.
But ultimately,
he can
after
lift
those
the
EOs
orders
are
and open
lifted,
Anchorage.
then you still have to be mayor for the next several
He can
years.
still open Anchorage.
And you need an assembly that is going to work with you.
Well, but if you win over the voters by getting the economy going again, then you can go over the assembly's head, and they can either come along because like Constance said, because look at this, AQD seat is open. But Felix Rivera's seat could possibly be open depending on the recall. They're adding a seat downtown, right? So those are 3 assembly seats that could be up for grabs. So there's not like there's some impossible way to change the composition of the assembly over the next couple of years. And so there is a path forward that if Anchorage voters, and we'll see what happens, and we don't have a really good sense of it right now, but certainly the first 10,000 votes show it's basically a dead heat between the conservative side and the progressive side, and we'll see how it shakes out. But for Bronson to have already 3,100 banked in the first batch, I mean, I think that sort of belies sort of this electability argument that Bill Evans was making it in saying that, well, I'm the one who can beat Forrest. It's like, well, we'll see, because I think that if you consolidate the Evans vote and the Robbins vote with Bronson, you have a pretty competitive race. And there's a lot of people out there who are like anybody but Forrest. And there are people on the left side of the political spectrum that have watched Forrest and the Assembly take money out of their pockets. Like there's only, and that's the thing in Anchorage, it's not like, well, somebody did this and somebody did that. It's been the left on the Assembly that have taken money out of people's pockets, and they know exactly who's done it. And Forrest Dunbar has been at the forefront of taking money out of people's pockets.
But I would just say about that alcohol tax, the increase in gas tax, where's all the money going?
But I mean, at least that people voted for that. I mean, that was approved by the public, so I'm not as much worried about that.
But I'm saying, like, they said that they failed the first time, and then they went in the second time saying, well, it's going to go to this. Well, let's see. Did it go to that?
No, they took $2 million and put it into pre-K, which was not part of the ballot language.
But I would just say, looking historically at 2015 with Demboski and Berkowitz, and 2018 with Logan, they both barely peaked 40%. I mean, Biden won in Anchorage in November.
Yep.
I mean, I think people are frustrated with the Assembly. I totally agree with that.
But ultimately,
it's like, can a person like Dave Bronson get 51% in Anchorage? That, I mean, with the frustrations, yes, it's not going to be like a blowout, but it'll be probably closer than the previous ones. But it'll be very difficult.
We'll see how this turns out.
This is going to be a good turnout
today. The campaign is critical of like
this is going to be a good test. Also, looking forward to the 2022 Senate race. Is if Bronson's able to pull this off, then there's still a chance that a fiscal and social conservative can win Anchorage. However, if he loses, what does that say for Kelly, who is very outspoken?
Kelly Chewbacca.
Who is outspokenly a social conservative. You still need Anchorage, especially now that you don't have a primary. There's no doubt she'll get to the Final Four. But then Anchorage plays a much larger role than it usually has.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's what happened in 2010. Yeah. I mean, and I said when Murkowski, or if you have a name like Murkowski and you can win as a write-in, you're gold for life. You know, Murkowski, because Murkowski will get enough.
Jensen's a good name for a write-in.
Yeah, spell an O-N.
Well, and if the Democrats field a legit candidate, because I mean, Scott McAdams, he didn't register to vote till he was 35 or whatever. Like
Scotty McAdams.
They were caught flat-footed. They say they're not going to do that this year, but we'll see. Are they going to field? Is Al Gross going to come back? Are they going to field an actual candidate? And if they don't, then
come back with that bear doctor. Well, folks, I think at this point, pretty close to wrapping it up. I don't know. Do you? We don't know what we don't know.
Let's check the results one more time.
Oh, it's the same.
Let's hit refresh again.
Don't worry, guys. At 4 a.m., there's probably gonna be a lot of votes coming in. Don't worry.
Oh no, we'll get it there bright and early.
Remember we did the live feed at the election thing, and I was like, "Is something happening? Is something happening?"
But remember, she tweeted us, and she was like, "We have one more update coming," and so we waited. We were on the air until 12:30 in the morning.
How great was that? The woman who was running the Division of Elections.
No, she's still there. She's still there. She's good.
Amazing.
She had the best emails of any government official I have
best
ever
tweets
seen.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, they were so much fun.
I sent her because I'm in PR, and I was like, you're just paving the way.
I was like, can she get promoted to Dunleavy's office?
It's not easy to make funny tweets about
the press releases like so much.
I like when she did the gif of Kanye and Taylor Swift, and he's like,
I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm gonna let you finish, but like, here it is.
This is what politics is missing.
I know.
No, she's good. She
made it interesting. She made it interesting.
Shout out to the Alaska Division of Elections on that.
Exactly, and for working until 12:30 at night to process ballots because people want to know who won. So.
Well, it sounds like on the Anchorage level, they're just doing 8 to 5. With
8 to 5, man.
Lunch,
8 to 5.
Yep.
This would never happen in the Valley.
All right.
So, guys, we're going to do one more round, one more pass at the results.
We're going to go through every single LRSA.
We're not going to go through
we're not? Oh. I really want to know who wins the Upper Highland Road.
Spoiler alert, it has
limited roads. So let's pull up. Let's have our great producer, Scott Jensen, and Carolyn Hall, and Ryan Syvertson. Thank you. All right, so guys, this is mayoral race. Now again, 10,000 votes, so not very many.
About
a third of what?
No, about a quarter
of what they've taken in so far.
42,000.
But there's even more that's have come in. They haven't even processed. So Bill Evans with about 1,000 votes. I wish we had percentages. Unfortunately, we don't.
But it says like 0
1,000
precincts.
out of 10,000 is pretty close to.
That's 10%. Yeah. You guys
Numbers
are
and
good.
things.
Now see, and Forrest has 3,700 out of about 10,000.
That's 37%, right?
Yeah, you're getting this.
Man, okay, that's quick.
Wow.
I would.
You must have gone to school.
I
not
didn't do.
in the Valley.
I didn't do common. I
Got a
didn't.
B.
I didn't do Common Core either. I did the regular old school.
All right.
So Bill Evans with about 10%.
But there's no one even close to Bronson and
Bill
Dunbar.
Falsey with about 12%.
No, it's
Bronson 31%. Dunbar 37%. Again, this is based off 10,000 votes. I'm doing math in my mind.
I'm so proud of you.
Watch for the smoke come out
Where's
of his
Martinez?
ears. He had 321 votes.
So that's 0.3%.
I feel like people didn't watch that video.
Yeah, they should have watched the video. And then Mike Robbins, not even.
That's kind of crazy, though, right?
Wait,
I
wait,
figured
that-
he would have.
That's 7.4%, right?
No.
But we'll see the results.
Yeah, I mean that's the
No.
thing. You can't tell
Yeah.
anything about these. I mean, other than I think that.
But we
for
can make
Bronson,
lots of
if
assumptions,
this is
Andrew.
the correctly, yeah, exactly. The correctly,
we
the
don't know.
correctly filled out ballots.
We don't know if these are
Bronson's
the
voters
first
have done
ballots to
pretty
come
well
in,
so
if it's a
far,
mix of
right?
ballots.
Because
We
that's
don't-
what's going on. They scanned 30,000, but these are the ones that were like clean, like didn't have any stray marks, like Chris was Constant was talking about if there's a stray mark, then you got to look at it and make sure it's not recording the wrong thing and that sort of thing. So kudos to, I guess, Forrest and Bronson's voters for having clean ballots.
How about that cat who got 8
I
votes?
saw that there was some commentary though on the Bronson for mayor page that people were saying, oh, maybe I shouldn't have like they were crossing out names on there that they didn't want.
Oh, wow.
And so that's honestly what's
Hey, and,
caused a lot of problems.
Guys, we did invite all 6 candidates running competitive campaigns. We reached out to all of them, and Bronson, Bernadette Wilson told us that they were doing their own event and they were not doing media. So we did try to get Bronson. Reached out to all 6 candidates. So Robbins too.
And it's I mean, we
Ryan,
don't know
get your
anything.
folks on
you
the
don't know anything.
screen.
On the record, I voted for Evans. Or I would have voted for him if I lived here. But I swear.
I was like, I'm sorry. What?
Voter fraud! Voter fraud!
What? There's no more election results coming
You
in. I got to
did
make it
what?
interesting.
He admitted it.
Can we call the election authorities right now? Let's go back real quick, Scott. Pull up the results.
We're really gonna
let's
get
go
back to
through
it, for real.
the rest of them, and then we're gonna end this madness.
I mean, the recall is.
Let's go down to the recall.
No, sir.
Recall right now is pretty. It's just
you can't
down
tell
if you
anything
just.
about that, you know, it's whatever. It's exactly 301 votes difference. Right
So it's 2 to 1.
But I mean, we don't.
Right,
how-
but again, there was huge in-person turnout.
But we
today
don't know
and
for that
everything,
district.
so,
We don't
yeah.
know for that specific district how many people actually voted.
1,600. Well, yeah.
Right,
So
exactly,
far,
of what's
Right.
come in.
Right.
Because there's 20-something thousand that were scanned but haven't been processed, and then again you had 13,000 ballots came in a day. You had a huge line at
So
Lusac,
however
which
many
is
of
in
those
Midtown,
are from
so
Midtown. So yeah. So right now Felix is slightly staying.
Slightly.
No, he's good. 2 to 1.
Okay.
All right, so far. Let's
Look
go.
at you running the math. Look at you guys running. Look at you guys running the math there.
After this, Jeff, you can solve the budget crisis.
We had our previous guest, Judy Elledge, in a close race with Kelly.
Like
Lessons.
physically stretch.
You know, I learned this. You know,
stretching.
Filling in.
Did you ask Kelly Lessons to be here?
I guess you didn't. You never really learned this lesson when we were filling in for. You were, I think, guest hosting for Steerin, and you asked me to come and sit with you or whatever. And then Tobin was talking to us in our ear.
Yeah.
And then we were talking back to him, and we go to a break, and Tobin's like, "You're not supposed to talk back to me."
Oh yeah. I was like,
if I'm waving at you, don't say
I was
waving
trying to
at
do
you.
like
Don't
the
be like Tobin's
the
waving
Howard
at
Stern,
me,
where you
know?
talk
like
to your.
you just wrap it up. You don't say, "Well, Tobin's waving at me. We got to wrap it up."
He's like,
you just wrap it up.
He's like, stop talking to me. Do we have somebody coming on the stream?
Let's see here. What? Oh, well, I'm looking at the. Other things that were of interest there. The body camera was up by about 1,000.
It looks like all the props except for Prop 1 are passing.
Yeah.
So Prop 1, he said, what Mr. Constant said to us is basically the infrastructure and capital projects, the library and one other group decided to break off and do their own promotions, and they're the ones that are passing. So the other capital projects did not pay any money in advertising.
I got to say, we got a comment from Melinda Taylor, who's from the IBW, and she's correct here that Dave Bronson did run against LV Gray Jackson in 2011, and she did beat him.
Shout out to LV.
By a lot. I had to look that up. I couldn't figure out where
Speaking
it was.
of body cameras, yeah.
It wasn't even in the Google. I had to go to the election results from 2011 to check that out. So thanks, Melinda Taylor. That's correct.
How many? I would love to know how many municipal elections occur in April. I feel like this is very unique.
Like in the world, in the country?
Well, I've never heard of any other election happening in April.
You know, remember former Senator deceased, now late Chris Birch tried to really get that thing in the fall. He like pushed it for that big when he was in the
Oh,
assembly.
he did. He got it.
He got it.
And
And
the first thing they did
and then
was like, nope, we're
they
going
undid
back
it.
to 15%.
He got it passed, and then they moved it back to April.
So it was.
I don't think it
didn't
was
last
never
long
held.
enough.
I don't think it was ever held.
Yeah, they didn't actually do it.
But he got it passed.
Yeah, it went through.
Late Chris Birch, what a legend
But
he was.
getting 10,000 votes
I mean,
tonight and the rest
and
over
that
2
would have
weeks,
improved
that's, I
turnout.
guess, what people want.
It would, but and again,
Sarah
but the thing is with
Rasmussen
turnout,
coming on telling me there are 3 communities in Alaska
can't be
that have
bothered to vote.
elections
I don't want you to
in
vote.
April.
Don't just vote.
Who's
And
that?
I feel
Don't
like
just vote
Sarah Rasmussen might be
'cause somebody told you to
joining
go
us.
vote.
Sarah
Like, if you don't know
Rasmussen,
what
are you
to vote,
coming
why
onto
would you
the?
vote?
Is she joining us via Zoom?
Is that what you're saying, Scott?
We've got a Zoom guest coming.
You're not supposed to talk to him.
I'm gonna.
Oh, I thought you meant she was here. So there's someone talking in my ear, and I get confused. Sarah, do you want to Zoom? I love when
We
Sarah
just
Zooms.
talked about this.
Sorry, he's talking. There's a person in my ear.
There is actually a big
got really
announcement
excited. I
about a
thought Sarah
concert
was
in the Valley
coming.
coming up on Friday morning, 8 a.m.
there's
on
what, I'm
K-Bear.
sorry?
There's a big announcement for a country show on Friday morning, 8 a.m.
Do you
Is it
More
the,
business for the Valley.
Is it the Old Country Road?
No.
Do you just want to say it now?
I'm pretty sure I know who it is,
Just
but
break-
I'm not
break
gonna.
the
I'm not
news.
gonna steal his thunder.
You mean
But
like
I do
at the
think
fair
it's
or a
interesting.
separate situation?
No, this is for a show.
Is it
It's
during
for
the
a country
rodeo?
show. I'm not sure when the rodeo is.
Memorial Day weekend.
I don't think so. No, it's not that. It's not that. It's going to be good. People are going to be excited about it when they hear about
So
it.
you know this? You're not telling us? Or
Oh, I know what it is.
Sarah
yeah.
Rasmussen said she's in for the runoff election central. She's
well,
probably.
runoff
Are you in
central,
your
okay.
PJs, girl? She's like,
I mean, it's
Is
10:30.
she sure she's not going to be in Juneau?
Yeah, it's not an
She
election
will
year.
still
They can
be
be there
there.
for a
I
while.
mean,
I think they're gonna be there until at least
see,
mid-May.
May 11th
Oh,
is the runoff date.
Right,
Runoff
and then
election.
day 120 in Juneau is like May 15th or
We'll be
16th.
So we
here
did
at 8:30. We'll
just,
get. There's 5,000 votes counted. See you in a week.
yeah. We have folks in the comments asking us to go through the results. We just did, so probably won't do it again. But you can go on muni.org and get those election summary.
Let me just copy this into the
reports.
comments real quick.
Love that. There you go.
you.
Check the
Look, he's-
comments. Andrew Jensen's going to copy
Andrew
that
Jensen's
link.
gonna put it in the comments.
I just posted
Again,
those.
we only got 10,606 votes counted tonight. We know there's over 45,000.
I'll post the
Very preliminary.
contents
Very
of the-
preliminary.
So is
Next
this,
up is the
is there going to be
press
like part
release.
2 and 3 of Election Central at the landmine? You guys just
We'll
show
probably
up
just
like
do it
2
from
days
like
from
our-
now, almost
we'll
an
do
hour.
it from our Zoom.
We'll probably just do like a
rooms.
Zoom update because this production is. I mean, again, I want to really thank Scott Jensen and Carolyn Hall and Ryan Syvertson. But Carolyn Hall and Scott Jensen Hall Creative and the Alaska Landmine, we've partnered on the studio. So this is actually a lot of work to go into this production and setting up this stuff. And Scott's talking to me. Is there something happening?
We have
Really?
Barbara Jones.
We have the
From-
we have
Wow, this is great.
we have the Anchorage clerk.
The Anchorage clerk on Zoom.
The municipal
Please
clerk?
come in.
For everybody who stuck with us,
Barbara's.
for everybody who stuck with us till late night, we got the city
This is a
clerk.
good get. I mean, I
Oh
didn't get
my
this. I assume this was
This is a good
Carolyn.
get.
This is
I'm
Carolyn.
excited.
I hear her squealing in the back of my ear.
No, Barbara's.
I'm excited.
This is a good
No,
get.
this is good. This is good.
Why didn't you? Why we needed Carolyn for one
I was
of the
I was
division
I was signing
elections.
us off. We're live.
Hi.
Barbara Jones. Hello. Municipal clerk.
Hi.
The woman of the
Why
hour.
aren't you still counting ballots?
Can you give us a bit of an update? Now we've been talking about this in the press release, but can I maybe just give us an update of where we're at and when we're going to have a better idea of the results of the ballots that have been turned in?
Sure. First thing we wanted to say, thanks for having us, Jeff. Thanks for Carolyn inviting us. We had a great turnout today, and we're still here at the election center, Erica McConnell and I, waiting for our vote centers to return their ballots. We had a record turnout at Eagle River that we know of. We anticipate we're going to have a record at the Lusac. So anyway, we're just really thrilled that everybody got out to vote.
Could you give us any insight onto just numbers? I'm realizing you're still processing, but just an idea of the numbers that were cast in person today. When you said the press release said 13,000 received today, did that conclude in person or no?
That number is actually our number that we processed in the election center today. It has nothing to do with the votes at the vote centers or the drop boxes today.
Okay, so,
So
the
we-
13,000 was just the ballots received by mail.
Mail, and we had a couple from the vote centers this morning and this morning's drop boxes.
Okay, so do you have any roughly idea what the in-person turnout was today?
I do not. We don't keep track of that. I heard from Eagle River that they had 440 voters as of probably about 4 or 5 o'clock, and it was a record at 4 or 5 o'clock.
Okay, and then at LUSAC, you say do you have any sense from there?
I don't have any sense at all from LUSAC. All I know is we were very busy.
So, oh, good.
So tomorrow, what can we expect to see? What's the timeline for when we can see more numbers?
So what we expect the timeline, we're going to be very busy with envelopes tomorrow. Remember, we expect, we have the 13,000 that I mentioned in the press release, plus we should get mail tomorrow, plus the drop boxes from tonight, plus the vote centers. So I expect that's going to be looking like another 10,000 envelopes.
And is that on top of the 13?
Yes.
So about an additional 23,000 votes to beyond the 45 at the end of yesterday. You're thinking of an additional 23,000-ish votes to count?
Well, you must be better at math than me because I didn't quite get there, but
It's very late, so we understand.
So when will the ballots that have been received as of today, or as of even yesterday, those 30,000, when are those tabulations gonna be put up on the website?
right. That's the question, the $1 million question that I know you wanted to talk to me about. So what we anticipate, we've scanned those ballots and we just need to adjudicate them. And, we're adjudicating ballots that end up with maybe an overvote or a blank ballot or ballots that have corrections on them. And those ballots are to some degree segregated by the system because the code requires a human to take a look at them. And so how on your ballot it says how to make an effective correction.
Right.
And that's what we're looking at. So we expect to get through those ballots probably tomorrow and the next day. But I think we'll get through a good chunk tomorrow and we should have some really, better numbers similar to the numbers today. By between 4 and 5 o'clock.
So every day you'll just be posting like one more update, is that correct?
Yep, it's just going to be a single updated day, just like it was last year.
So and Assemblymember Constant was in here earlier, and he was talking about this adjudication process and he was talking about it's like a stray mark or something that the scanner might flag, and he mentioned that I think he said that there's actually 2 people that are looking at each ballot, not just one person. Could you just kind of describe how that adjudication process works if you're looking at trying to determine correction or what's a stray mark or what's voter intent? How does that sort of work?
Well, the code is very clear. The code specifically says what marks count and what marks don't count. We have a little handbook that has copies of the code in it, and the only people that are authorized to adjudicate are the clerk, the deputy clerk, and our election coordinator. So the 3 of us are the only ones that can do adjudication. And we spend a lot of time together. We look at marks on ballots, we question each other, we make sure we're doing it exactly the same. And it's a slower process, but it is accurate that way.
And sometimes we have to go pull the physical ballot to look at it to determine, is it a stray mark? Is it whiteout? Is it a coffee spill? Or is it a vote?
How do you go about doing that? How do you go find like the actual ballot? I mean, I guess how is that sorted? Where you're looking at it on a screen and they're like, okay, go find me that paper ballot.
So every ballot is assigned a number. It's kind of a three-part number. It's the scanner that it was scanned on, the batch that it was scanned in, and the number that it is within the batch.
Okay.
And we put them away in boxes with the batch numbers, and that's all labeled so that we can go back and find them again.
Okay.
That's
Well,
incredible.
that's interesting. Thank
what
you.
a process.
Well, Barbara Jones, clerk, and Erica McConnell, deputy clerk. Can't say how much we appreciate. We were about to go off, and then we got the word that we had some last minute kind of power guests. So you're
You
working.
are definitely a power guest. As an elected official, I know how hard the clerks work and that we all depend on you every single day. So thank you so much for the transparency and for the hard work that you're doing.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to
Thank
more
you very
updates.
much.
We'll be looking forward to more updates from the clerk tomorrow and the next day.
Between
And
4 and 5 tomorrow, we should get our next update. Is that
thank
that's
you,
the takeaway? All right.
Barbara Jones and Erica McConnell, clerk and deputy clerk of Anchorage. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Wow.
Get some sleep.
For those folks who
Carolyn Hall for the win.
For those folks who stayed on late, I mean, that was a hell of a get.
Wow.
Thank you, Carolyn Hall.
I heard her
Wow.
like buzzing back there, and I was
Yeah.
like, "What's going on? Who is she getting?" That
I know.
was
I
good.
wasn't sure who it was. It was
That was
10:30.
really good.
When you just listen to your producer and stretch.
That's right.
Stretch.
Listen
Yeah,
to the
I thought
producer.
when they said stretch, I thought that's why I was physically
You
stretching.
literally
I was
were
like,
I was like, I don't feel like Scott's telling you to
stretch it
Have
out.
you have you never had a producer in your ear? I mean,
No, I have, but he said
I'm just
stretch.
Like, it's like
Scott, go back and watch. I'm like,
that's the number one term.
Like he thought maybe you
This is
were
a Ron
telling
Burgundy
him
thing. He will do whatever you tell him.
Yeah.
I'm like
Don't
stretching.
put anything
Oh, yeah,
on
get him
the
a-
teleprompter. Oh, that's too funny.
I'm like
Oh,
Ron Burgundy.
That
Go
was
fuck
really
yourself,
funny.
Anchorage.
Go after yourself, Anchorage. Oh my God! Can't say that. I hate you.
Oh, that's fantastic. You really.
This
And
is
with
what
that,
happens when you stick with the landmines to
Yes,
the very,
when you
very
stay
end.
to
Very
the
end. Hey,
end.
the people who stuck with
There
us.
are
boy.
58 people still
always gets
watching, and we
58. Well,
appreciate
they
it.
have the scoop.
It always gets super
They
loose
have
at
the
the end.
scoop. They know what's like.
Go if you are watching. Go
Ryan,
back
you don't have
when
a
this is
you don't have an
over.
earpiece, do you?
He has
No.
no idea what any of us
Ryan was watching a screen.
I'm just was looking, yeah.
Oh, bless
Wait,
your
next
heart,
time we're
Ryan.
gonna get our guests an earpiece. Sorry,
We
sorry
could've
about
done
that.
There should be a plug. So yeah, they have
earpiece. The guests
sponsorships
had one.
You guys have
available.
earpieces?
Yeah, they were listening.
Yeah, they were.
Our guests have earpieces. Ryan is in the dark.
So the
Oh, my
landmine
God.
needs sponsorships, people, so
Yes,
that they can
that's
afford
right.
another earphone
Help
for all
us,
of their
won't
guests.
you
Yes.
give us
Tell me I'm poor.
$1 a
AFP
day?
is doing their part in sponsoring ads.
A Facebook talk show host.
If you guys go back and just watch right
Dunleavy, if you
before
have any
that
capital
interview-
budget money or anything like appropriations that
We'll
you can
create a job at Ada. And
Yeah,
No,
that-
hey, if the Ada board's watching, like,
Yeah.
throw some gas.
We just need
This
our
is way
guests
past
to be
their
able to hear.
All right,
Oh,
well,
what a night.
I
So
think-
I
Yeah,
mean,
9 to- no,
you're
9 to
going back
4:30.
to Juneau,
4:30, 4:30.
right?
I'm going back to Juneau on Friday. I changed the ticket because I had some things I want to take care of, so I'm going back on Friday.
You're missing a whole week of Juneau?
Well, actually, the first
beginning to think you
couple
don't want to
days-
go back.
The first couple days, the
I
Senate
wouldn't
was
say I've been missing it, Bob.
Monday and Tuesday. The Senate
We're into
wasn't
the
even.
movie quoting segment of the.
Thank you.
Monday and Tuesday, the Senate wasn't even there, and then Wednesday, the plane with many House members got delayed because a very drunk man puked on lobbyist Ted Popley.
That was today. That was Tuesday.
Is this going to show up in the spotted ins or the
That was-
I
overheards
tweeted
on
that.
to the
So they
side?
had to
This
put the
isn't
plane-
in the
no, for
loose
the-
unit, man.
The plane got delayed like
today's
an
Tuesday.
hour, so they missed the floor. I think the floor session was delayed, and Finance Committee was canceled. So, I mean, post Easter, not a lot going on.
So you're staying till Friday, so that means we could do some Zoom updates.
Yeah, we could do something up. Yeah, we could do. We'll have more folks watch the Alaska Landmine for election coverage. We'll have some updates tomorrow. Again, we're at about 10,000 votes. I think at this point, it's kind of
Lots
getting
more
late.
info to come.
I want to thank Ryan McKee for coming in studio. Appreciate that. Your lovely friends over there. Hello, ladies. Andrew Jensen, managing editor, Alaska Journal of Commerce. Sabrena Combs, Palmer Deputy Mayor, featured in Forrest Dunbar's ad. Kind of
And my kids.
Anchorage level. I have to be remiss if I don't thank again Scott Jensen and Carolyn Hall from Jensen Hall Creative, the partners in this new studio venture we're doing. Ryan Syvertson for helping out there in the background
All of our guests that came to the studio.
on the comms and the video and the audio. And then again, I have to thank our sponsors, GCI.
I'm keeping this, by the way.
We need it for the
We need
waiting area.
Can we get that?
These are the guest mugs.
Can we get that close? Can we get that?
It's not swag.
Can we get that tight shot?
Studio guest mugs.
Can we get a tight shot? I don't know. Anyways, GCI, providing great internet. There we go. That's a tight shot. There we go. GCI, there it is. Providing great internet services. We have gigabit internet in this building. I mean, it's really fast. It's so fast, I don't even know how to deal with that. Cell phones.
My refresh was like, boom.
Cell phones, cable, the whole thing. TiVos. Dittman Research, doing great polling in Alaska for many decades. And Blueprint Alaska, great PR and communications firm. We would not be here without the sponsors, folks, okay?
We wouldn't.
That's very important. Stay tuned for some more updates in the next day or two or coming days and probably next week. And we'll see,
Are we going to do this May 11th?
And May 11th.
We're hopefully, I can't, if Scott and Carolyn and Ryan Syvertson want to help us out, I'd love to do one of these on May 11th.
We could do it with like a janky cell phone camera.
Yeah, we could have like two like iPhone 7s.
Would not be great.
And also, we are planning on doing if there is going to be a runoff, and it looks like there will be, we're going to be doing a debate live in studio with the two candidates for the runoff. I'll be hosting.
We are?
I'll be moderating.
Did you just?
Why'd someone laugh?
No, I'm just.
Someone laughed.
I think everybody laughed.
I think that was all.
Everybody laughed.
Well, no, we actually have a sponsor for that, so I'm gonna invite both of them. If no one shows, it'll be just me. If one shows, it'll be just me and that person. If ideally both show, we have a debate.
I love this idea that it could be just you.
Fine. I can't believe they wouldn't come to this
they
great
would come.
debate situation. So again, I want to thank the viewers, thank the panel, Ryan McKee, thank you, thank Carolyn Hall, Scott Jensen, Ryan Syvertson, our sponsors. And stay tuned for the next days and weeks to get
And
the
thanks
final.
to Jeff Landfield.
Oh yeah.
Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
We never introduced you.
Bald guy convention.
Bald Brotherhood.
Now I'm waiting
that.
for the
Balls
roast
and
round
beards.
2 of Jeff Landfield.
The Jeff Landfield roast was legit.
Best
It
money I've
was.
ever spent.
All right.
We're gonna yeah, we've been told to wrap. Anyways, folks, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content and production from the Alaska Landmine and Jensen Hall Creative here at our studio. Thank you so much. Good night.